Chapter 1069. At the God Hand Mountain Manor, a terrifying aura engulfed everything. A figure soared up into the air, exuding towering rage. At this instant, it was as though doomsday had arrived. My son. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor appeared in the air. With a roar of rage, his robes fluttered in the wind as a supreme immortal might bore down on this entire space. After which, he took a step out and sped towards the ancient mountain. Rumble. In the direction of the God Hand Mountain Manor, towering violet chi filled the air. Zidi stood there, similarly exuding a violent rage that permeated this entire space, exuding a stifling pressure. The experts of the God Hand Mountain Manor all had looks of shock on their faces as they stared at Zidi and the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. What happened exactly? Why were these two immortal emperors so enraged? Earlier, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor shouted, "My son." Could it be that something happened to Dongxing Ting? The possibility of this was very high. But why was Zidi so enraged as well? They really wanted to know what happened exactly in the ancient mountain. Sadly, they could only guess. They saw Dongxing Ting crazily killing his way into the ancient mountain, causing thunderous rumbling sounds to echo out. However, he still couldn't do anything and was forced back by the ancient mountain. This made everyone sigh in admiration at how tyrannical ancient Emperor Yi was. Back then when ancient Emperor Yi was still alive, how terrifying was he exactly? Who knows who that bronze-masked man is? Which power does he belong to? Whoever can tell me will be heavily rewarded. The Violet Emperor's voice was cold to the extreme, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. Momentarily, the expressions of the crowd flickered as they recalled who the Violet Emperor was talking about. That person wore a bronze mask, and had always been mysterious and low-profile. He brought a black dog with him into the ancient mountain, and as for who he was, nobody knew. I will also heavily reward you. Dongxing Heaven Emperor stepped back, exuding a terrifying killing intent. He stared at everyone as his eyes turned red. He personally witnessed the miserable state of his son, Dongxing Ting. Dongxing Ting was almost crippled, lying limply on the ground, brutally killed. He could see the despair in Dongxing Ting's eyes, as well as the pleading for his life. However, it was useless. He was a lofty immortal emperor of the immortal realms, yet he had no way to save his son. He gave Dongxing Ting a powerful immortal rank treasure and allowed many immortal foundation experts of the Dongshengshan Gate to accompany him because he wanted to ensure that Dongxing Ting wouldn't meet with any mishaps in the ancient mountain. However, never in his wildest dreams did the Dongxing Heaven Emperor expect such an ending. His son died in the hands of an unknown mysterious person. Everyone was speechless. No one knew who the mysterious man with the bronze mask was. They didn't know where he came from, who his master was, or which force he belonged to. An expression of interest appeared on the Emperor of Qianbian's face. Seems like Dongxing Ting had died and the person who killed him was actually that mysterious masked young man. At this moment, the gaze of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor abruptly turned over, landing on the Emperor of Qianbian as he coldly asked, "This man is extremely mysterious. Emperor of Qianbian, is he someone from your immortal Qianbian Gate?" An expression of ridicule appeared on the Emperor of Qianbian's face. Dongxing Ting, do you like to vent your anger on others so much? I actually hope that the person who killed Dongxing Ting was someone from my immortal Qianbian Gate. The protection you gave Dongxing Ting must be extraordinary. The person who killed him must be an extraordinary character. In addition, there are so many experts protecting Dongxing Ting. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's expression turned cold. Qianbian was right, there were so many experts protecting Dongxing Ting. Why did things turn out like this? What exactly happened in the ancient mountain? The Violet Emperor also didn't understand. Their immortal senses could sense a powerful sealing energy. That was a gigantic sealing diagram, a powerful immortal rank treasure, capable of sealing this entire space. Who was it that possessed such a powerful sealing treasure? He had no idea. My son, I will definitely take revenge for you. Dongxing Ting clenched his fists tightly as killing intent gushed forth. He glanced in the direction of Emperor Yu, his eyes filled with unfriendliness. "Emperor, you didn't seem to notice," and continued to drink his wine while chatting with the people around him. He had already warned everyone that there would be dangers if they entered the ancient mountain. Since they chose to enter, how could they vent their anger on him after Dong Xingting died? However, the Eastern sage immortal emperor had lost a son. Most probably, he wouldn't be happy to see anyone. This bunch of bastards. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor thought of those who protected Dong Xingting. A bunch of trash, all of them deserved to die. Within the ancient mountain, those experts who were being held back by the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate would never have imagined that the Dongxing Heaven Emperor actually had killing intent towards them. Although they couldn't be blamed for failing to protect their young lord, it was very normal for the Dongxing Heaven Emperor to vent his anger on them. Such incidents were too common in the immortal realms. If they knew that Dong Xingting had been killed, they would surely be so frightened that they wouldn't dare to exit the ancient mountain. At this moment, Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi had already left the place where Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu died. There was no need for him to worry anymore. At this moment, Namhuang Yunxi's beautiful eyes landed on Qin Wentian's handsome face as she asked, "Are you acquainted with him? What do you think?" Qin Wentian smiled at Namhuang Yunxi. He knew that he naturally wouldn't be able to hide this from Namhuang Yunxi completely. "You seem to be fleeing, but in truth, you were waiting for him to fall into your trap. That man's sealing abilities are so strong, and he even has a terrifying treasure. Is he your friend? Who is he?" Namhuang Yunxi felt extremely curious. "Yunxi, it's good that you know about this matter." Qin Wentian smiled at Namhuang Yunxi but didn't say anything. Namhuang Yunxi smiled and nodded. Right now, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor doesn't even know how Dong Xingting died. "You must have done this intentionally, right? Why don't you guess?" Qin Wentian and Namhuang Yunxi exchanged mutual glances. There was no need for words to be spoken. Namhuang Yunxi naturally understood that she wouldn't mention this matter to others. After all, she was a participant in the deaths of Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. He did this because he didn't want the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi to know how their descendants died. He didn't directly kill Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu. Although he had already offended the two immortal emperors, regardless of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor or Zidi, they still left some leeway. At the very least, these two immortal emperors wouldn't personally act to kill him. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor didn't personally kill him mainly because the immortal emperors of the immortal Qianbian Gate and the Dongshengshan Gate couldn't interfere. If not, the Emperor Qianbian could also kill his subordinates. Secondly, he had to consider his status. Zidi didn't personally act because there was no reason for him to do so. He, Qin Wentian, had only defeated Zi Daoyang in the City of Ancient Emperors. It was fine for him, Zidi, to order his subordinates to kill him. But if an immortal emperor personally killed the disciple of the Emperor Qianbian, Qin Wentian, because of such a minor matter, how would the people of the immortal realms view him, Zidi? Qin Wentian lacked a reason for the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi to personally kill him. And if they personally witnessed Dong Xingting and Zi Yunwu dying in the hands of Qin Wentian, this reason would be sufficient. Even for immortal emperors, they might disregard their status and act to kill Qin Wentian. If that was the case, Qin Wentian would place himself in an extremely dangerous situation. If he could avoid this, Qin Wentian would naturally avoid putting himself in danger. This was the reason why Qin Wentian asked Di Tian to come here. When Dong Xingting wanted to take his life in the ancient mountain, didn't he also have the same thoughts? He wanted to make sure Dong Xingting wouldn't be able to leave this place. After this matter, Di Tian could vanish again. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi wouldn't be able to find him. Nobody would know that Di Tian was him. The only people who knew that the two of them were in contact with each other were those from the royal sacred sect. Holy Maiden. As the two of them moved through the ancient mountain, a voice drifted over. It was none other than the protector of Namhuang Yunxi earlier. Upon seeing that both Namhuang Yunxi and Qin Wentian were safe, she immediately rushed over. Are the others not here yet? Nam Huang Yunshi asked. They should still be fighting. That protector replied. After all, the immortal war between both sides wouldn't end so quickly. Let's go back and take a look. Nam Huang Yunshi spoke. After that, she steered the Phoenix boat forward and as expected, they encountered a group of immortal emperors on their way back. Are you alright? That disciple from the heavenly talisman realm who was clad in diamond armor asked when he saw Qin Wendian returning. Isn't this good? Qin Wendian shrugged and smiled. What about Dongxing Ting and that man from the Ziti sect? Were they shaken off? That protector asked as he fought. The treasure on Dongxing Ting is simply too powerful. In addition, he has many immortal ranked weapons on him. Yunshi and I were chased all the way and ended up in a miserable state. However, that expert in the mask is also an extraordinary character. He actually has an extremely powerful sealing treasure that can suppress Dongxing Ting. That protector must have eyed the treasure on Dongxing Ting and decided to intercept Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu. Since that space was sealed, I think Dongxing Ting's situation is extremely grim. Qin Wendian spoke in a clear voice, as though he was intentionally saying this for the people of the Dongshengshan Gate and Ziti sect to hear. And indeed, their countenances changed. An expert from the Dongshengshan Gate coldly spoke, His Highness Ting's treasure was intentionally given to him by the immortal emperor himself. How can it be suppressed? Stop your nonsense. Qin Wendian mockingly glanced at that person, I'm not talking to you, why are you interrupting? As for Dongxing Ting, you guys can think whatever you want. He is unrivaled under the heavens, unrivaled. You guys can just wait for his return in peace. That person's countenance changed when he saw the mocking smile on Qin Wendian's face. After which, he spoke, let's leave. As he spoke, the people around him frenziedly attacked, increasing the distance between them. After which, they all retreated in a single direction before departing at the same time. Even Qin Wendian had returned but Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu didn't appear. This matter was truly strange. Senior brother. From afar, Jun Mengchen and Purgatory flew over, as well as the experts from the Nam Huang clan. Why aren't they fighting anymore? Dongxing Ting is in trouble. Qin Wendian laughed. That disciple from the heavenly talisman realm who transmitted his voice to Qin Wendian earlier to hunt down Dongxing Ting cast a deep glance at Qin Wendian but he didn't say anything. Let's continue moving out. Many people have already entered the depths of the ancient mountain. The battles here have already wasted a lot of time. Someone spoke. Qin Wendian glanced over, the people from the Jiang clan weren't here. Evidently, they had all gone to search for the divine essence of God's hand. That was their true purpose for entering the ancient mountain. This ancient mountain is so deep that we can't see the bottom. It's extremely mysterious. Everyone, be careful. Qin Wendian spoke. Before this, he had already lured Dongxing Ting into several parts of the ancient mountain but he still felt that he had only entered a small corner. This place where the inheritance left behind by ancient Emperor Yi wasn't so simple. Chapter 1070. Within the ancient mountain, everyone went deeper and deeper. There were countless experts gathered at the God Hand Mountain Manor, all of them waiting for the movements of the ancient mountain. However, the ancient mountain was completely silent. Outside the ancient mountain, no sound could be heard. Occasionally, there would be a few people coming out, but they were all stellar martial cultivators who didn't manage to gain anything. Many people stared at Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu calmly enjoyed the immortal banquet, as though he was long prepared to wait. Most probably, only Emperor Yu knew of the secret of the ancient mountain. How deep is this ancient mountain exactly? Dongxing Heaven Emperor asked Emperor Yu, his voice filled with coldness. He was waiting for the mysterious masked man to come out and kill him, taking revenge for Dongxing Ting. But now, that masked man seemed to be an eternity away. He simply didn't want to wait any longer, he wanted to kill his way into the ancient mountain. You can't enter, I can't enter as well. How would I know? Emperor Yu calmly replied. Acting all mysterious. You established the God Hand Mountain Manor and guarded it for so many years, how could you not know the secret of the ancient mountain? Do you know how to enter the ancient mountain but you intentionally hid it? Dongxing Heaven Emperor questioned. Eastern Sage. Emperor Yu inclined his head, his white hair fluttered in the wind as he coldly spoke. I've long warned you. If your son enters the ancient mountain, he would definitely die. But you still insisted on letting him in. This is your choice. Now that he is dead, don't vent your anger on this old man. Forgive me for not accompanying you. Emperor Yu, you keep trying to act mysterious. In fact, I even suspect that you are the one controlling the ancient mountain. What secrets does this ancient mountain contain exactly? Dongxing Heaven Emperor had an unfriendly look in his eyes as he interrogated. His aura gushed forth, instantly causing a stifling pressure to envelop this entire space. When an immortal emperor was enraged, it would definitely be extremely terrifying. Emperor Yu stared at Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Finally, he spat out a single word, scram. Boom. As the sound of Emperor Yu's voice rang out, terrifying currents of qi gushed forth from the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, transforming into a terrifying tempest. His body shone with a divine light, containing a supreme might. He walked out step by step, and with each step he took, the hearts of the crowd pounded as though they were about to shatter. Deep footprints could be seen on the ground. The immortal emperors and immortal kings in the surroundings hurriedly acted to protect their subordinates. As for those without any background, they started to retreat. If immortal emperors were to act here, just the aftershocks alone would be enough to annihilate them. Because of Dongxing Ting's death, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor's temper was extremely bad right now. He radiated a sense of anger that could erupt at any moment. Emperor Yu was an extremely ancient immortal emperor and had lived for countless years. He could be considered a senior of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Now that the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was being so overbearing, no matter how good his temper was, he was still enraged. Finally, he spat out the word, scram. An emperor-ranked battle could erupt at any moment. Emperor Yu sat there, radiating a divine light as well. Emperor Yu was clad in white armor as his white hair fluttered in the wind. Although he was sitting there, he exuded a terrifying imposingness. His gaze was like an unsheathed sword as he stared at the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. At this moment, this old man exuded a supreme magnificence. The mysterious Emperor Yu of the immortal realms. I wonder how strong he is now. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor spoke as he continued forward. The earth trembled as though there was a unique rhythm to it. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor's body glowed with a resplendent light. His right hand clenched into a fist as a beam of light appeared on it. Everywhere the fist light passed by, cracks would appear as the earth was split apart by the fist light. It was simply terrifying. Emperor Yu's palm shone with resplendent light as a terrifying might gushed forth from him. The immortal light radiating from him was boundlessly powerful, akin to the blazing sun. He stood up and stretched out his palm, akin to the hand of a divinity. Boom! Emperor Yu soared up into the air, instantly appearing in the air. If they fought on the ground, a single strike from the two of them would be enough to destroy the God Hand Mountain Manor. Boom! The Dongxing Heaven Emperor also soared up into the air. His fist slammed into the ground, causing a terrifying crack to appear. The two of them stood in the air, facing each other. God's hand? The gazes of everyone stared at Emperor Yu's arm. Boundless light radiated from it, resembling a true God's hand. An arrow appeared in his hand, pulsing with destructive light that could destroy everything. The arrow shot out tens of thousands of meters, locking onto the body of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Finally, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor acted. He punched out, causing the sky to tremble unceasingly. Tens of thousands of fist lights transformed into a destructive might, enveloping the entire space. The crowd below stared in shock at this scene. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor punched out, locking down the entire space, wanting to destroy everything. At the same time, Emperor Yu's arrow shot out. At the instant the arrow shot out, an incomparably gigantic winged demon appeared in the air, blotting out the sun. The boundless fist light collided with the gigantic greater demon, causing an earth-shattering sound to echo out. However, the arrow that the winged demon was protecting was destroyed, it penetrated through everything and vanished from sight. However, the crowd only saw the Dongxing Heaven Emperor explosively retreating. He suddenly vanished from his original location, retreating extremely far away. At the same time, he blasted out another fist light. This fist light was incomparably gigantic, akin to a constellation. It could easily destroy an entire city, causing the spectators below to stare dumbfoundedly as their hearts trembled. A beam of light shot out, shattering the gigantic fist light. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's body trembled violently once more as he stabbed out with a finger. In front of his finger, that terrifying arrow finally stopped and was destroyed. However, the expression on the Dongxing Heaven Emperor's face turned extremely heavy. He stared at the white-haired old man standing far away. Right now, Emperor Yu was brimming with health and vigor, resembling a supreme battle emperor. He didn't seem like a white-haired old man at the end of his life at all. Eastern Sage, show some respect in front of this senior. If you dare to be disrespectful again in the future, scram the hell out of the God Hand Mountain Manor. The old man calmly spoke, his voice echoing through the heavens and earth. After that, his body floated down, returning to the banquet in the God Hand Mountain Manor. His aura vanished as he once again transformed into an old man with the demeanor of a transcendent being. He calmly drank his wine as though nothing had happened. It was simply hard to imagine that this old man was able to traverse such a vast distance in the blink of an eye and shoot out an arrow that could destroy the heavens and earth. Ziti, the Ying clan, Jiang clan, and the other immortal emperors stared at Emperor Yu as their eyes gleamed. This low-profile and mysterious Emperor Yu wasn't weak. It was because he truly lived a life of seclusion. Clearly, his strength was so tyrannical yet no one knew of him. All of them were speculating what level of cultivation base Emperor Yu was at exactly. Did Emperor Yu break through to the peak stage of the immortal emperor realm? The beautiful eyes of the Namhuang clan's Nanfeng Guhong flashed with a bright light. However, there was no shock on her face, as though she wasn't surprised by Emperor Yu's strength. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor floated down, his countenance extremely unsightly to behold. This time around, his son Dongxing Ting died in the ancient mountain. As for him, his attack was broken apart by a single arrow from Emperor Yu and he was humiliated. Courting your own humiliation. The Emperor Qianbian laughed. He and Dongxing Heaven Emperor were rivals, he naturally wouldn't care about Dongxing Heaven Emperor's face. Emperor Yu truly hid his strength deeply. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor coldly spoke, his tone unfriendly. But ultimately, he didn't say anything disrespectful. Emperor Yu used his strength to show him what respect was. If it wasn't for the fact that he was waiting for that mysterious masked man to kill him, he wouldn't have stayed here any longer. This short instant of battle also caused the people in the God Hand Mountain Manor to sigh in admiration. The immortal realms were filled with geniuses, experts were as common as the clouds. Don't think that some low-profile immortal emperors are weak. This Emperor Yu only used a single arrow to stun the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. His strength was extraordinary and in the immortal realms, there should be many immortal emperors who lived in seclusion. Although this battle only lasted for a single strike, the commotion caused by it was extremely great. Everyone in a radius of a few thousand miles could see it. However, the people in the ancient mountain couldn't see anything at all. One couldn't help but to say that the ancient mountain was extremely mysterious. Qin Wentian and the others have already been in the depths of the ancient mountain for several days. After a period of increasing their speed, they slowed down again. This was because, in the depths of the ancient mountain, there would be a formless divine aura gushing forth unceasingly, directly imprinting itself into the minds of everyone, causing their bodies to tremble. In addition, the deeper they advanced, the more intense this feeling became. What sort of character is this ancient Emperor Yi exactly? Nanfeng Shinga sighed in a low voice. Being able to use the divine aura to obstruct the immortal emperors outside the ancient mountain, he must be extremely powerful. I know a piece of news. You can imagine how powerful Yi is. Namhuang Yunqi smiled. What news? Nan Fengshenge curiously asked. Qin Wentian also glanced at Nam Huang Yunxi. Emperor Yu. Before he became an immortal emperor, no one knew of his existence. He is extremely mysterious and unfathomable. In fact, no one even knows of his name. That's because he has never roamed the immortal realms before and has no name. He is a servant of ancient Emperor Yi. Nam Huang Yunxi spoke, her words causing the eyes of Qin Wentian, Nan Fengshenge, and the others to flash. A powerful immortal emperor like Emperor Yu was merely a servant of ancient Emperor Yi? No wonder he would protect the ultimate art of ancient Emperor Yi. So this is the case. Nan Fengshenge spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian also believed that Nam Huang Yunxi's words were true. This should be something the Phoenix Ancestor told her. The Phoenix Ancestor was also a supreme saint beast that has lived for countless years. What's that? At this moment, Jun Mengchen turned his gaze ahead. There were 5 gigantic peaks that towered so high that they pierced the skies. 5 fingers. These 5 ancient peaks are like the 5 fingers of a palm. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. God's hand, 5-finger peaks. Could it be that the divine energy originated from there? Not only were there 5 fingers, but there was also a palm below the 5 fingers. We will know once we take a look. Nan Fengshenge smiled. The group of them continued forward, but their speed grew slower and slower. A whistling sound rang out. Qin Wentian only saw a palm imprint of divine energy directly slamming into his body, causing his body to tremble. At this moment, the immortal foundation might of everyone in the group gushed forth as they advanced forward. However, the number of people in the group continued to decrease. Finally, they passed through several ancient mountains and saw the gigantic peaks. At this instant, they only felt a formless divine energy blotting out the sun as it blasted towards them. Careful. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Every step they took was already extremely difficult. Now that they suddenly experienced an even stronger formless attack, it was extremely dangerous. Chapter 1071. In front of Qin Wentian and the others, below the 5-fingered gigantic mountain, there was indeed a palm. This was a terrifying gigantic palm that blotted out the skies, wanting to shatter the dome of the heavens. At the instant Qin Wentian's gaze landed on it, numerous formless diagrams abruptly blasted towards him. This was truly a supremely powerful palm imprint. Boom! Qin Wentian radiated a terrifying immortal might as the power of his immortal foundation gushed forth. The immortal energy in his body gushed forth like tidal waves, emitting rumbling sounds. The formless diagrams directly penetrated through everything, slamming into his body, causing him to groan in misery as he was forced to retreat repeatedly. The other participants all suffered the same attack the instant they stepped out. There were even some who coughed out blood as their immortal foundation trembled violently. They have all arrived. Nam Huang Yunxi spoke. In front of the gigantic palm imprint, there were experts from the Jiang clan, Ying clan, as well as many geniuses from the immortal realms. They were all seated cross-legged in different locations, as though they were trying to comprehend the essence of the palm imprint. This is clearly something that can be broken. Everyone, be careful and get used to the essence of this attack. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. He stepped out once more, and this time around, the immortal light radiating from him grew even more intense. At the instant he stepped out, the formless attack blasted over. Qin Wentian's entire body shimmered with a dazzling light as he defended against it. Groaning in misery, he took another step forward as an intense reaction erupted from his body. All the immortal energy in his body was churning as his immortal foundation revolved frenziedly. Boom! Stepping out heavily, Qin Wentian's body was like a perfect fiend god body. He allowed the attacks of the essence to land on him as he steadily advanced forward. The reaction in his body grew increasingly intense, as though his body was about to shatter apart. His meridians were also trembling violently. Behind him, Nam Huang Yunxi and the others followed behind, advancing step by step with great difficulty. Jiang Ziyu stared at Qin Wentian as a smile flickered in his eyes. As expected, Qin Wentian didn't die. It's just that he didn't know what happened to Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu who chased after him. Yingting frowned as he glanced at these people. He only saw that Qin Wentian was the first to walk to a rock at the side and actually sat down cross-legged. The might of his immortal foundation circulated unceasingly as his body grew stronger and stronger. Nam Huang Yunxi and the others entered the hall and found themselves a place to sit down. They closed their eyes and comprehended the impact of the divine charms. It felt like there was no end to it. Each of them had an immortal glow circulating around their bodies as their bodies underwent some changes. Where exactly is the secret behind Emperor Yi's ultimate art? This divine charm is no longer present and is getting weaker and weaker. Yingting stared ahead as he sighed. He had already reached this point. The heaven-connecting palm and the five-fingered mountain seemed to be the true soul of the ancient mountain. However, he had no clue as to the secret behind God's hand. Qin Wentian sat there as the divine charms continued to descend. The terrifying immortal energy in his body trembled, wanting to shatter his immortal body. Behind him, there were some who couldn't withstand the pressure and were retreating, preparing to leave this place. They felt that if they persisted any longer, their bodies would directly explode and they would die. If one wanted to cultivate powerful ultimate arts, it seems like one's physique had to be strong enough to support it. When one stepped into the immortal realm, everyone would have the opportunity to establish their own immortal foundation, as well as the opportunity to cleanse their bodies. The reaction within Qin Wentian's body grew more and more intense, akin to the roar of mountains and the roar of tsunamis. Rumbling sounds rang out as boundless immortal energy seemed to form a world within his body. Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly shut, but he gradually felt as though his eyes were open. That gigantic palm contained boundless divine charms that blasted out unceasingly, wanting to destroy his body. After many days, many people retreated from this place. However, they didn't give up completely and tried to return. After several failures, there were some who succeeded but they still had no way to comprehend God's hand. The ultimate arts of ancient emperors were simply too difficult to cultivate. I suspect that Emperor Yu has been lying to us from the start. What he gave us wasn't the complete version of God's hand. Even if we accept the baptism of the divine charms, it would still be useless. At this moment, someone spoke, suspecting Emperor Yu. Many people frowned. The God's hand that Emperor Yu imparted to them seemed to be the complete version. Maybe, their comprehension abilities weren't high enough. If they wanted to successfully cultivate the true version of God's hand, they would need an extremely high level of comprehension. Just because you guys are unable to comprehend it doesn't mean that Emperor Yu lied to you. Jiang Ziyu calmly spoke, his words causing many to glance at him. Yingting then spoke, in that case, you, Jiang Ziyu, are able to comprehend it? Jiang Ziyu smiled but didn't reply. His gaze then turned to Qin Wentian. In this place, only Qin Wentian cultivated God's hand. His hope should be the greatest. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, Jiang Ziyu still believed that Emperor Yu didn't lie to them. Since he was the protector of this ultimate art, there was no need for Emperor Yu to obstruct others from obtaining it. This wasn't in line with his duty as protector of this ultimate art. As the divine essence gushed forth unceasingly, Qin Wentian's God's hand blasted into his body. The immortal energy in his body circulated automatically, transforming into different runic diagrams. As his body transformed, in his perception, the gigantic palm before him was no longer dim and lusterless. Instead, it was radiating boundless divine light. That divine essence was extremely vivid and lifelike, and there was even a diagram that appeared and disappeared in and out of existence. However, he couldn't see clearly what diagram it was, he only felt that it was extremely mysterious. Qin Wentian gradually sensed that the divine essence of this gigantic palm was extremely bewitching. Maybe, this towering palm was an existence meant to bewitch everyone. He continued to sense the blurry diagram as the light from the gigantic palm blasted into his body. Him at this moment had already forgotten the passage of time. Unknowingly, over 30 days have already passed and he was still immersed in it, unable to extricate himself. Beside Qin Wentian, Nam Huang Yunxi, Jun Mengchen, and the others all opened their eyes. The divine essence gradually weakened. This point was actually similar to what Xiaoling Yue and the others encountered back then in the city of ancient emperors. Should we go to other places to take a look? At this moment, Yingting stood up and spoke. The divine essence of the gigantic palm was faintly discernible. He had no way to circulate God's hand, and it was basically meaningless to stay here. He seems to still be comprehending. At this moment, someone glanced at Qin Wentian and spoke, deliberately mystifying things. Yingting's arrogant eyes flashed with a hint of suspicion. There were many geniuses here. There were members of his Ying clan, Jiang Ziyu, and the other members of the Jiang clan, the Nam Huang clan, and experts from the various powers in the immortal realms. Could it be that only Qin Wentian could comprehend something? At this moment, Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't know what Yingting was thinking. At this moment, he was immersed in his cultivation. That blurry diagram gradually grew clearer and clearer. It was actually a human-shaped diagram. However, this human-shaped diagram gave Qin Wentian a feeling that it was as boundless as the starry skies, containing everything in the world. This human-shaped diagram seemed to be situated in the starry skies, and Qin Wentian felt that he was within it as well. At this instant, it felt like the heavens and earth were being split apart as terrifying transformations were occurring within his body. The true God's hand isn't a palm imprint art. It's a supreme ultimate art that encompasses everything in the world. It can activate the terrifying might of his immortal body, allowing Wu Xiu to reach his strongest state, using his palms to unleash overwhelming might. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Regardless of palm arts, spear arts, or halberd arts, as long as they were used, they would all be considered God's hand. He thought back to the scene shown to him by the ancestral phoenix. Ancient Emperor Yi used a single palm strike to kill Wu Xiu from an extremely far distance away. That palm strike could penetrate through space, and that was a spatial innate technique that was unleashed using the power of God's hand. God's hand is an ultimate art of the 10,000 arts, a truly supremely powerful innate technique. Qin Wentian was enlightened. Emperor Yu had imparted God's hand to everyone, but Qin Wentian could faintly sense that the inheritance he obtained from ancient Emperor Yi in the city of ancient emperors was prepared specifically for him. Although the God's hand he comprehended was merely the foundation, without this step, he wouldn't be able to comprehend the true God's hand. Qin Wentian sensed the boundlessly vast and profound secret art. Boundless transformations occurred in his body as the immortal light radiating from him grew even more intense. An aura that surpassed his cultivation base gushed forth, causing many to turn their gazes to him as shock could be seen on their faces. What's going on? The eyes of everyone flashed. Yingting's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. Among us, only he has cultivated God's hand before. The possibility of him comprehending this ultimate art is the highest. Jiang Ziyu stood up as he spoke. He stared at Qin Wentian, his eyes flickering. He had to bring this young man to the Jiang clan no matter what. Many people gathered here. When they saw this scene, Nam Huang Yunxi, Jun Mengchen, and the others stood in front of Qin Wentian as they stared warily at the crowd. Rumble. At this instant, the ancient mountain trembled as the gigantic palm in front of them trembled, causing the crowd to stare in shock. After which, rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the center of the gigantic palm actually started to shatter. Boundless light radiated from within, and with a thunderous boom, the center of the palm shattered. The crowd hurriedly raised their hands to block, but a powerful beam of light shot forth. The crowd slowly shifted their palms away and stared ahead, feeling their hearts pounding. Inside this ancient mountain, there was a completely different world. There was actually a separate space. Also, this place was no longer a desolate ancient mountain. There seemed to be people living here before. This was left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. A shocking thought flashed through the hearts of everyone as their hearts pounded. Was this really the place where ancient Emperor Yi resided in? What did ancient Emperor Yi leave behind here? Qin Wentian abruptly opened his eyes, similarly staring at the scene before him. He stood up as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. What's going on? Nam Huang Yunshi stared at Qin Wentian as she asked. I have no idea as well. Qin Wentian shook his head. Just when he felt that he had already comprehended the profoundness of God's hand, the gigantic palm suddenly shattered as another dimension appeared. Numerous silhouettes flashed as they sped inside. If this was truly left behind by ancient Emperor Yi, it would truly be a great treasure trove. Chapter 1072. When everyone stepped into the space within the palm print, their footsteps immediately slowed down. This space was very big, and they could feel a suffocating pressure enveloping their bodies. That kind of feeling seemed to be able to easily annihilate all of them if that aura were to erupt. A mysterious rhythm descended, as if someone was breathing. With each breath, they could feel their hearts pounding. Their blood flowed crazily in their bodies, and their eyes kept looking around. This space was extremely ancient and had a sense of desolation, as though it had been sealed for countless years. They followed the ancient path and that feeling grew increasingly intense. It felt as though they were getting closer. That mountain. Someone stared at a stone mountain in front of them. This stone mountain had a unique shape and it looked like a demonic beast. It blocked the path in front of them and the powerful aura came from that direction. Their steps gradually halted as they stared fixedly ahead. That feeling grew increasingly intense, breathing in and out, their hearts pounded unceasingly. At this moment, rocks started to roll down from the top of the stone mountain. Abruptly, a terrifying pressure bore down on them as rocks tumbled down unceasingly. At the head of the stone mountain, the rolling rocks gradually formed into a human face. It was extremely ferocious, like the face of a god of death in the mortal world. It was like a human, yet also like a demon. Its eyes were closed and terrifying fangs could be seen exhaling air currents, causing a demonic wind to blast onto the bodies of everyone, causing their backs to be drenched in cold sweat. This incomparably gigantic demonic beast was the size of a mountain. Just the breath it exhaled caused their hearts to pound wildly. It was as though a single breath from it could annihilate all of them. Nobody dared to wake it up. Everyone was extremely cautious as they slowed their breathing, afraid that they would disturb this terrifying existence that was in slumber. Everyone stared at each other, feeling the pressure on their bodies. This demonic beast was simply too gigantic, akin to an incomparably gigantic mountain, blocking their path. It was as though this demonic beast was the guardian of this place. What should we do? Someone transmitted their voiceover. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Since they have already arrived here, it was impossible for them to give up. In addition, this place was left behind by ancient Emperor Yi and he was the one who broke through the palm imprint to enter. He didn't think that it was possible that ancient Emperor Yi lured him here just to kill him, right? Since ancient Emperor Yi left behind this ancient mountain, it meant that he wanted to find a successor. There was no reason for ancient Emperor Yi to kill him. As he thought of this, Qin Wentian lifted his foot and continued forward. The eyes of the crowd flickered as they stared at Qin Wentian. After which, there were people who took the lead and also stepped out. The crowd continued on their way with extreme caution, and when they arrived at the foot of the gigantic stone mountain, they felt as though they were about to suffocate. That gigantic stone mountain exuded a terrifying pressure even when it was sleeping. Every breath it took caused their hearts to tremble, and the pressure grew increasingly intense. Some people couldn't walk anymore, not daring to continue forward. As they looked at the enormous vicious face that was gradually getting closer, they truly felt like they were suffocating. Phew! A terrifying breath was spat out, with residual warmth. Pooh! Because one of them was too nervous, his footsteps made loud noises, causing the others to be even more frightened. They all stopped and glanced at the greater demon. Only when they saw that the greater demon had no reaction did they heave a sigh of relief. At this moment, Qin Wentian had already arrived below the head of the greater demon and was preparing to bypass it. Rumbling sounds rang out as rocks from the top of the stone mountain tumbled down unceasingly. With every breath it took, the suffocating pressure grew even stronger. A pair of incomparably large eyes opened, gleaming with a terrifying light as it stared at the crowd. At this instant, everyone was dumbfounded as they stared at the pair of eyes. Even if all of them were added together, they would only be as big as the eyes of the greater demon. Qin Wentian was also stunned for a moment as he stared at the pair of cold eyes. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the gigantic body of the greater demon moved, causing the stone mountain to crumble. A greater demon with a human face appeared before their eyes, exuding a fiendish aura, akin to a true primordial god of death. This was an ancient ferocious beast, the greater demon, the Bai Hen. These juniors have disturbed seniors' rest, we beg for seniors' forgiveness. Ington from the Ying clan reacted very quickly as he bowed slightly to the greater demon. The greater demon, the Bai Hen, was still breathing as it stared at the crowd. Many of them were already drenched in sweat. They felt that as long as the greater demon willed it, it would be able to slap all of them to death with a single swipe of its claws. Why are there so many of you? A thunderous voice rang out from the mouth of the greater demon, the Bai Hen. This voice was like a bolt of heavenly thunder, vibrating the eardrums of everyone, causing their bodies to tremble, even their internal organs were trembling. These juniors knew that ancient Emperor Yi had left behind an inheritance here, so we paid a visit to Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu told us to enter the ancient mountain to search for the inheritance, and after that, we entered this place. Ington replied, but he didn't say that they came here because of Qin Wentian. Let's enter. The greater demon spoke again. After that, rumbling sounds echoed out as it slowly laid down on the ground, continuing its slumber, completely ignoring everyone. This caused the crowd to heave a sigh of relief. Qin Wentian and the others walked past the greater demon, continuing their advance. The air was filled with an ancient aura, and the place that appeared before them did indeed seem to be a place where humans resided. They halted their steps once more, staring at the empty immortal palace before them. This was an incomparably majestic immortal palace. The major characters of the immortal realms had already reached a certain cultivation realm and had the qualifications to enjoy life. They naturally wouldn't allow themselves to live too shabbily and would have their own immortal palaces for themselves, their descendants and even their clan members to reside in. Was this immortal palace before them the place where ancient Emperor Yi resided in those years ago? They followed the staircase in the center, moving towards the immortal palace step by step. Their hearts were filled with a sense of pilgrimage, thinking in their hearts that if they could become the master of this immortal palace, how good would that be? Were the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi all within? However, everyone was soon disappointed. The immortal palace was completely empty, they couldn't find anything. Although the immortal palace itself was constructed from extremely valuable materials, it was impossible for them to move it away. In addition, there was still a greater demon guarding the place outside. Who would dare to act recklessly? As they moved deeper into the immortal palace, another terrifying aura gushed over. They continued forward and finally, they saw a shocking scene. Before them, there was actually a golden figure. This golden figure was illusory and incomparably gigantic, towering up into the skies, akin to a divinity. The divine charm contained within it caused everyone to feel terror when they glanced at it. And behind this gigantic figure, there were numerous bronze gates. Each gate was incomparably gigantic, as though they had existed here since ancient times. As for what was behind these bronze gates exactly? Were these the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi? What made everyone feel despair was that beside each of the bronze gates, there was a greater demon guarding them. These ancient greater demons seem to be in deep slumber, they have been here for far too many years. The heartbeats of the crowd quickened. Ancient Emperor Yi, not only did he leave his inheritance here, he even left behind his treasures. Was he leaving them for his successor? In that case, what Emperor Yu was protecting wasn't merely the god's hand but everything left behind by ancient Emperor Yi as well. Ancient Emperor Yi was once the immortal realm's king. It was simply unimaginable how terrifying his treasures were. At this moment, many people had already forgotten about God's hand. In their eyes, there were only the bronze gates and the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. Compared to the illusory ultimate art, the treasures were much more realistic. The silhouettes of many people flickered, passing by the golden giant and arriving before the bronze gates. Boom, boom, boom. The great demons guarding the 3 bronze gates opened their eyes at the same time. A suffocating pressure directly pressed down on everyone, forcing them to prostrate themselves on the ground. They raised their heads with great difficulty and shouted, "We juniors are allowed to enter by Emperor Yu. Senior, please show mercy." The pressure gradually weakened. Only then did everyone stand up. Those greater demons closed their eyes, not even bothering to glance at them. They walked to the front of the bronze gate and exerted force, wanting to push it open. However, they discovered that they couldn't budge it at all. Qin Wendian didn't move together with the others. He walked step by step towards the picture of the golden giant. The energy in his body circulated, and with a single step, he arrived in front of the picture. In an instant, an ancient might bore down on him, blasting into his body, causing his bones to emit cracking sounds. With a groan of misery, he coughed out a mouthful of blood as his countenance turned pale. This is the true God's hand. Qin Wendian stared at the golden human-shaped diagram in front of him. With just a single glance, he could sense that this was the true God's hand, containing everything within it. That illusory human-shaped diagram seemed to be a real existence. The might radiating from it was akin to that of an ancient existence, so terrifying. Qin Wendian walked towards the golden figure as the energy in his body circulated frenziedly. The power of his saint-grade immortal foundation was unleashed to the limits as the light from the golden figure flowed unceasingly into Qin Wendian. Every strand of energy was sufficient to make Qin Wendian feel the might of a death god. This. Nam Huang Yunxi stared at Qin Wendian's actions as a bright light flashed in her eyes. Seems like he is really going to succeed in cultivating an ultimate art. Only he has a chance to cultivate ancient Emperor Yi's God's hand. Nan Fengshinga smiled. Emperor Yu was only guarding this place under the orders of ancient Emperor Yi, waiting for his successor. It's not so simple. He seems to be under immense pressure. Nam Huang Yunxi was somewhat worried. The cultivation of God's hand naturally wouldn't be so simple. Nan Fengshinga spoke in a light voice. Purgatory and Jun Mengchen were also staring at Qin Wendian. At this moment, Jiang Ziyu also stepped out. His eyes gleamed with a terrifying light, as though he wanted to see through everything, including the golden figure. He walked forward step by step as the energy in his body circulated. A powerful might gushed forth from him, causing the eyes of Nam Huang Yunxi and Nan Fengshinga to flash. This fellow was so powerful. Boom! A fearsome might erupted forth. Jiang Ziyu coughed out a mouthful of blood as his body was flung through the air. The expressions of the people from the Jiang clan drastically changed as they hurriedly retreated. What a terrifying might! Jun Mengchen stared in that direction. If Qin Wendian was the slightest bit careless, he would surely be in danger. Chapter 1073. After Jiang Ziyu was injured, he returned. He inclined his head and stared at the golden human-shaped diagram as an intense trepidation could be seen in his mysterious eyes. This diagram was the one that truly contained a shocking divine essence, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wendian was still standing there. He felt as though he had already fallen into a trance. From the human-shaped diagram, he could see a real body. This human-shaped body was akin to a divinity. The divine aura contained within the body had the power to destroy him. He was enveloped by boundless light as his body unceasingly trembled violently. It felt as though his body would shatter into pieces at any moment, causing him to die. Those who walked towards the bronze gate used all sorts of methods, yet they had no way to shake it. They discovered that on the surface of the bronze gate, there seemed to be a gigantic palm inscribed with incomparably complicated diagrams, mysterious and unfathomable. They had no way to see through them. Could it be that only by cultivating the ultimate art of ancient Emperor Yi, God's hand, would one be able to open the bronze gate and obtain the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi? Yingting spoke. The eyes of everyone flashed as they turned their gazes to Qin Wendian. Seems like that gigantic human-shaped diagram was the secret art of God's hand. Qin Wendian might be able to cultivate God's hand and open the gate to the treasures. Yingtang and the others walked over, arriving before the gigantic golden human-shaped diagram. After that, numerous experts stepped out simultaneously. However, some of them only managed to take a few steps before they were forced back by the shockwaves. Arg! A scream of agony rang out. There was one person who didn't give up even when he couldn't hold on any longer, continuing forward. His body was actually shattered as his immortal foundation was destroyed. He fell to the ground, his countenance was ashen as he screamed in agony. Such a scene caused everyone to stare at him in shock. After that, when they inclined their heads and stared at the golden diagram, their gazes were filled with reverence. After that, more and more experts arrived. It was because Qin Wentian had opened the gate to the five-fingered mountain. Without any obstructions, they could proceed forward smoothly. When they saw the greater demon as well as the immortal palace, they were all incomparably shocked. So it turned out that the immortal palace of ancient Emperor Yi was hidden in the depths of the ancient mountain. No wonder an immortal emperor like Emperor Yu was assigned to guard this place for so many years. Yingting also failed in his attempt. He was injured from the impact and there seemed to be a destructive energy wreaking havoc in his body, wanting to destroy his immortal foundation. This made Yingting understand that without his previous foundation, it was impossible for him to get close to the golden body diagram. It was impossible for him to succeed in cultivating God's hand. There was only one person who had this chance and that person was none other than Qin Wentian. From the moment Qin Wentian broke through the ancient gate, it was already destined that only Qin Wentian would have a chance. The various experts all realized this point. For the inheritance of ancient Emperor Yi, they were merely a foil to Qin Wentian. Why is it like this? A descendant of an immortal emperor spoke, feeling reluctance in his heart. Because he has already cultivated God's hand before. Emperor Yu opened the ancient mountain for him. Kang Yi coldly spoke, similarly unwilling to accept this. If I had the good fortune to encounter God's hand in the city of ancient emperors, I would also be able to cultivate it. Sadly, my luck isn't on my side. Yingting's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at Qin Wentian. Without the foundation of God's hand, he wouldn't have any advantage over us. Excuses. When Jun Mengchen heard these people complaining about Qin Wentian's luck, he couldn't help but feel extremely unhappy in his heart. He then spoke, "You guys should have been to the city of ancient emperors before. The palace left behind by ancient Emperor Yi wasn't discovered by my senior brother Qin Wentian. It has long been discovered by others, but no one has been able to enter. So many people in the past failed to do so, yet you guys are saying that those who succeeded can only be attributed to luck? How ridiculous. When I was here, I didn't know that there was a palace left behind by ancient Emperor Yi in the city of ancient emperors." Yingting coldly spoke. Do we have to tell you that that palace is the location of ancient Emperor Yi's palace before telling you how to enter? Only when the God's hand is in your hands would you be able to obtain it. Jun Mengchen spoke. The immortal realms are so vast, there are many inheritances and treasures. Only a minority of people managed to obtain them, and many of them became experts. As for those who didn't manage to obtain the God's hand, don't you want to say that those experts were only lucky? Who the hell do you think you are? You dare to speak to me like this? Yingting stepped out, causing the earth to rumble. A terrifying king's aura gushed forth, blasting towards Jun Mengchen, causing Jun Mengchen's body to tremble. Who the hell do you think you are? Jun Mengchen always had a fiery temper, while Yingting was extremely arrogant. The moment the two of them collided, a flame instantly ignited in their hearts. "Yingting, what are you doing?" Nam Huang Yunxi stepped out as phoenix flames blazed around her, exuding terrifying immortal might. "Nam Huang Yunxi, others might be afraid of you but my Ying clan doesn't. You better not be a busybody." Yingting coldly spoke, exuding an aura of arrogance. "Do you think that my Nam Huang clan is afraid of your Ying clan?" Nam Huang Yunxi replied, not retreating an inch. Yingting coldly laughed. He stared at Nam Huang Yunxi and spoke, "Everyone, how about we deal with the Nam Huang clan together? Since you guys don't dare to injure them, just leave them to my Ying clan." Coincidentally, I still want to capture a holy successor of the Nam Huang clan to serve me every day. There's also a beautiful holy successor here, it wouldn't be too bad if she could warm my bed for me. The eyes of everyone flashed. This fellow Ingtang was truly audacious. At this moment, the expressions of the Nam Huang clan turned cold as their battle intent gushed forth. After we deal with the Nam Huang clan, we will wait for that fellow to cultivate God's hand. At that time, we will control him tightly and get him to bring us into the Bronze Gate to obtain the treasures. At least we wouldn't have wasted our trip here. Ingtang continued. Everyone instantly understood his intentions. This was Ingtang's true purpose. So many experts came here just to accompany Qin Wentian in cultivating God's hand? Ingtang of the Ying clan was clearly unhappy. In that case, so what if Qin Wentian cultivated God's hand? After dealing with the Nam Huang clan, Qin Wentian would still be enslaved by him. As for capturing Nam Huang Yunxi to serve him, that was most probably just an impudent statement by this fellow Ingtang. Although the Ying clan was very arrogant, they wouldn't dare to be so brazen. As long as the people from the Nam Huang clan don't interfere, they wouldn't act against the holy maidens. At this moment, a voice rang out. Evidently, the people from the other powers weren't willing to offend the Nam Huang clan. They didn't dare to take the initiative to say that they would join forces to deal with the Nam Huang clan. It's fine. If the Nam Huang clan interferes, my Ying clan will be responsible for dealing with them. You guys only need to deal with that fellow. Is the Jiang clan interested in joining forces? Ingtang stared at Jiang Ziyu as he spoke. Jiang Ziyu merely smiled at Ingtang but didn't say anything. It's fine even if the Jiang clan doesn't have the guts to participate. Ingtang flicked his sleeves as he spoke in arrogance. The people from the Ying clan and the Nam Huang clan already stood in their positions, facing each other. Qin Wentian had no idea what was happening in the outside world. He walked step by step towards the golden human-shaped diagram, and it was as though he could see another body within it. That body was guiding his body, causing it to undergo a startling transformation. But even so, his body was still on the verge of shattering, unable to endure the pressure. However, at this moment, the candle-like power of his bloodline started to circulate, restoring his body. Every time it circulated through his body, it would cause his body to undergo a transformation, becoming more compatible with the golden human-shaped diagram in front of him. He had the Fiend God body refinement art and his physique was already extremely tyrannical. For ordinary first-level Immortal Foundation characters, he would be able to explode them with a single punch. Even if his opponent attacked him, they wouldn't be able to do anything to him. He had a perfect Immortal Foundation and the Fiend God body refinement art. His physique was close to perfection, allowing him to have the qualifications to cultivate God's hand. But this complete version of God's hand seemed to be able to cleanse his body once more, merging with his bloodline to reforge his physique. If his body underwent another transformation this time around, it would be extremely difficult to find someone with a physique stronger than his in the vast immortal realms. However, such a baptism wasn't easy. Qin Wentian advanced extremely slowly. That faintly discernible body was simply too terrifying, capable of destroying everything. He faintly sensed that if that divine essence erupted forth, even immortal emperors wouldn't be able to endure it. He had a feeling that this immortal palace, as well as the divine essence of the ancient mountain outside, were all born from the gigantic human-shaped diagram in front of him. Although it was located here, it radiated boundless light, causing this mysterious ancient mountain to have its own divine essence. Once immortal emperors stepped foot here, they would be able to directly sense that supremely powerful divine essence. The reason why they could reach here was because their cultivation bases were weak. Naturally, Qin Wentian believed that if there were truly supremely powerful characters, even if they were immortal kings or immortal emperors, as long as they could borrow the power of God's hand to sense the divine essence, they would also be able to enter the ancient mountain. It was just that no one could do this. The situation outside was still the same. Qin Wentian was immersed in his cultivation. In fact, it was extremely difficult for others to even get close to Qin Wentian. Behind him, Zidi and the experts from the Dongshengshan Gate also arrived. Their eyes flashed with killing intent when they stared at the experts from the Namhuang clan and the Dongshengshan Gate. Naturally, when they stared at Qin Wentian, the killing intent in their eyes grew even more intense. Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu had both died. They found their tattered robes and traces of blood, but there was no sign of their corpses. They also saw the bronze-masked young man, but he had an extremely powerful sealing treasure which allowed him to escape. The death of Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu was simply a nightmare to them. If they exited the ancient mountain, they might have to face the wrath of Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi. All of this was because of Qin Wentian, the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate. If it wasn't for these people, Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu wouldn't have died. You guys want to kill him? Yingting pointed to Qin Wentian. Yes. Everyone nodded. We will give you guys a chance. But before he opens the treasure vault, no one is allowed to take his life. His life is extremely useful. Yingting coldly spoke. He didn't treat Qin Wentian as the inheritor of the secret art but as the key to opening the treasure vault of ancient Emperor Yi. So what if Qin Wentian comprehended the secret art? In the end, Qin Wentian could only be used by Yingting. Chapter 1074. At the God Hand Mountain Manor, the people outside were still waiting. The Immortal Foundation characters of the Immortal Realms were all experts who had cultivated for many years. They naturally had patience. Although several months have passed, they weren't anxious at all. One could only say that this ancient mountain was extremely mysterious. In addition, the people from the Jiang clan, Ying clan, and Namhuang clan didn't have any intense reactions. This indicated that the important characters were still alive and hadn't died yet. They grew more and more curious. What secrets were there in the ancient mountain exactly? Was Emperor Yu really unable to enter? Emperor Yu was the protector of ancient Emperor Yi's inheritance, how could he not be able to enter? Although they were suspicious, after witnessing the battle between Emperor Yu and the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, no one dared to act recklessly and disrespect Emperor Yu. Strength won respect. Here, other than Zidi, who was a peak-stage immortal emperor, the other immortal emperors weren't. No one dared to say that they could win for sure against Emperor Yu. Although the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor quietened down a little, the killing intent in his heart didn't dissipate at all. He hated Dongxing Ting even more than the Violet Emperor. The Violet Emperor only died because of his nephew, while the one he killed was his youngest son. Dongxing Ting was someone he had with a concubine. Because his other sons were already very powerful, other than fighting their own battles, he doted on Dongxing Ting a lot. Now that Dongxing Ting was killed in the ancient mountains, how could the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor not be enraged? Emperor Yu, I wish to consult you. In this ancient mountain, could it be that only the person who cultivated God's hand before would have a chance to obtain the complete inheritance? The Immortal Emperor from the Jiang clan asked. If not, why would Immortal Foundation characters be the most suitable to enter the ancient mountain? Sir, you are thinking too much. Although ancient Emperor Yi left behind an inheritance in the city of ancient emperors, I have no idea when it would appear. What if that brat you speak of didn't come here at the Immortal Foundation realm but at the Immortal King realm instead? Emperor Yu calmly spoke. Everything is fair, including everyone here. Everyone has a chance to obtain the ultimate art of ancient Emperor Yi. The reason why none of you can enter is because your cultivation base has already reached a certain level where you can no longer tolerate the divine essence of God's hand. Hence, none of you can enter. In that case, the possibility of him cultivating God's hand is still higher. An immortal emperor from the Ying clan asked. What do you think? Emperor Yu laughed. The immortal emperors of the Ying clan didn't say anything. Wasn't this nonsense? Before this, Qin Wentian had already cultivated God's hand before. The possibility of him succeeding would naturally be higher. The people outside were all waiting. Inside the immortal palaces in the ancient mountain, the experts of the major powers were also waiting. Qin Wentian walked step by step into the pattern, as though he wanted to become one with it. The others had also tried, but other than Qin Wentian, no one could get close. They would all be injured by the vibrations. Now, it seemed that they could only wait for Qin Wentian to finish his cultivation. How slow is he? Ingting unhappily glanced at Qin Wentian. It has already been several months since they entered the ancient mountain and he has been waiting for Qin Wentian for a very long time. However, he still hasn't finished his cultivation. In addition, there were some changes happening to Qin Wentian that made him feel a little jealous. Qin Wentian's aura surged even more intensely. The immortal light circulating around him made everyone feel that the physique of Qin Wentian right now was extremely perfect. Such an immortal physique was definitely something that Immortal Foundation experts could only dream of. For this trip to the ancient mountain, all of them were like accompanying guests. Given Ingting's prideful personality, how could he be willing to accept this? In the Ying clan which ruled the Ying clan, there weren't many in the same generation that could make him a side character. Many more days passed, Qin Wentian's body was still undergoing transformations. However, as time passed, the transformations grew smaller and smaller. He no longer tried to resist the power of the divine charm but chose to enjoy the baptism of this energy. Right now, he seemed to have fused as one with that marvelous body of his. That surge of energy unceasingly cleansed him. Countless runic inscriptions and endless transformations flowed into his sea of consciousness, evolving within his body. This kind of transformation was gradually slowing down, but it was still progressing towards maturity. Many people were already impatient from waiting and wanted to interrupt Qin Wentian. However, Ingting stopped them. Since they had already waited for so long, he didn't mind waiting a little longer. He planned to interrupt Qin Wentian. Even if they could really interrupt Qin Wentian, if they did so, who would be the one to open the bronze gates? If they had no way to obtain the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi, they would have made a wasted trip here. He would rather wait for Qin Wentian to finish. Luckily, this day finally arrived. Qin Wentian finally stopped. He opened his eyes, which shone even more resplendently than before. However, when Qin Wentian landed on the ground, many experts instantly surrounded him, causing his eyes to turn heavy as a cold light gleamed in them. Ingting stepped forward, arriving before Qin Wentian as he spoke. After waiting for so long, you should have already mastered the ultimate art of ancient Emperor Yi, God's hand, right? Senior brother, this fellow wants to use you to open the bronze gates and obtain the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. They have already joined forces. Jun Mengchen spoke to Qin Wentian. I didn't say that. I've already waited for you for so long. Now, it's time for me to do something. Go and open the bronze gates. Ingting stared at Qin Wentian, glancing at the experts gathered here. The people from the Ying clan, the descendants of the immortal realms, as well as the people from the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi's group. With such a lineup, even if the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian sect joined forces, they wouldn't be able to contend against them. Seems like although these people couldn't comprehend the ultimate art, they might as well give up. The only thing they wanted was the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. Didn't you hear my words? Ingting saw that Qin Wentian didn't reply, his tone grew even more domineering. After that, several experts behind him stepped out. Qin Wentian. At this moment, Jiang Ziyu who was at the back spoke. Qin Wentian, as long as you agree to follow me to the Jiang clan, I will lend you a helping hand. Jiang Ziyu. Ingting's eyes were as cold as ice. He turned over as cold qi gushed forth. It's fine if you don't want to join forces with me, but you actually dared to undermine me? Do I know you? Jiang Ziyu swept his gaze over to Ingting as he impolitely spoke. As one of the three strongest ancient clans in the southern regions, how would the people of the Jiang clan be afraid of the Ying clan? Very good. Ingting's eyes gleamed with coldness. Qin Wentian stared at Jiang Ziyu. This person kept inviting him to the Jiang clan, his intentions were unclear. However, the hearts of humans were sinister. Jiang Ziyu was extremely shrewd and wouldn't do useless things. If he invited Qin Wentian to the Jiang clan, it would definitely be beneficial to him or the Jiang clan. To him, this wasn't a good thing. Once he entered the Jiang clan, he would be slaughtered by others. Even if the Nam Huang clan wanted to help him, it would be useless. He naturally wouldn't agree to Jiang Ziyu's request. But if he didn't agree to Jiang Ziyu's request, he would be at a disadvantage if he relied on the strength of the Nam Huang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate. Qin Wendian turned and walked towards the bronze gates. Over here, there were 3 gigantic bronze gates that exuded an unfathomable aura. Nobody knew what was behind them, but they guessed that they were the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi. In front of the bronze gates, there were terrifying greater demons standing guard. Senior. Qin Wendian walked to the front of a greater demon and called out respectfully. This greater demon was actually an ancient demonic beast, the Kuei ox. It exuded a ferocious aura, and when it opened its eyes, it was extremely terrifying. Speak. The Kuei ox spoke. Junior has obtained the inheritance of ancient Emperor Yi's God's hand. Do the treasures behind the bronze gates belong to Junior? Qin Wendian bluntly asked. First, you have to open the gates. The Kuei ox's voice was extremely loud, like a great bell. Since Junior has obtained the inheritance, can Senior act on my behalf and kill some people? Qin Wendian asked again. Upon hearing his words, the gazes of everyone froze. Even Yingting was so shocked that his entire body turned cold. These 3 greater demons were guarding the bronze gates and didn't even bother with their arrival. They didn't even care about the inheritance. They shouldn't act against them, right? But when they heard Qin Wendian's words, they still felt their backs turning cold. This bastard. You don't have the qualifications to give me orders now. The Kuei ox coldly spoke. Qin Wendian wasn't disappointed. His eyes gleamed with excitement. He didn't have the qualifications now. In that case, there would be such a possibility in the future. In that case, what must I do to make Senior help me? Qin Wendian politely asked. Behind him, Yingting and the others walked over, their eyes flashing with killing intent. I told you to open the bronze gates, not to chat. Yingting transmitted his voice to Qin Wendian. After you open these gates, you will know. The Kuei ox calmly spoke, its tone was emotionless. Qin Wendian's eyes flashed. Bronze gates again. Seems like these 3 bronze gates were the key. Could there really be treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi within? Each of these 3 bronze gates was more complicated than the previous. The diagrams on them were truly all-encompassing, mysterious and unfathomable, as though they contained the truths of the Great Tao. Only one of them could he understand a little bit. As for the other 2, he could only see nothing but chaos at first glance. Qin Wendian moved his feet and walked to the bronze gate that he could understand a little bit. He asked, Senior, can you tell me what's inside? There was no reply. The greater demons had all closed their eyes, completely ignoring him. This caused Qin Wendian to feel somewhat depressed. No matter what, he had obtained the inheritance of ancient Emperor Yi, yet the greater demons didn't give him any face at all. Qin Wendian, you better hurry up. My patience is limited. Yingting couldn't help but threaten when he saw Qin Wendian completely ignoring his words. Qin Wendian turned his head and glanced at Yingting, only to see the experts of the Nam Huang clan and immortal Qianbian Gate surrounding them. He stared at Jun Mengchen and Purgatory as he spoke. These 2 are your friends, right? If you continue wasting time, don't blame me for being impolite. Fine, I will do my best. Qin Wendian coldly spoke. His gaze landed on the bronze gate as he stared at it intently. The diagram on the bronze gate seemed to be evolving on its own, encompassing everything. Numerous runic inscriptions flowed through his sea of consciousness. This diagram should be the key to opening the bronze gate. The energy in his body circulated as the immortal energy around his immortal foundation flowed, transforming into a diagram of 10,000 laws that flowed unceasingly, containing a myriad of transformations. After that, Qin Wendian closed his eyes as everything was imprinted into his mind. The people behind stared at Qin Wendian and the bronze gate. If the bronze gate was opened, would the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi really be able to be hidden within? Would the so-called alliance of Yingting and the others still be able to be maintained? Chapter 1075. Ingteng and the others stared nervously at Qin Wentian. No one knew what was behind the bronze gate, but they all understood that once the gate was opened, various situations might occur. Qin Wentian tried to place his palm on the bronze gate several times but failed every time. Although the bronze gate glowed with resplendent immortal light, he still wasn't able to open it. In the blink of an eye, several days passed, causing Ingteng and the others to feel somewhat impatient. They even threatened Qin Wentian several times, but Qin Wentian pretended not to hear them and ignored their words. Today, Qin Wentian opened his eyes. Immortal light gushed forth from his body as a divine glow circulated around him. His palm shone with a dazzling immortal light, and with a wave of his hand, a palm imprint shot out towards the bronze gate. A gigantic palm imprint directly imprinted itself onto the diagram of the bronze gate. At this instant, countless runic inscriptions on the diagram of the bronze gate started to flow as a line of runic inscriptions appeared in the middle of the diagram. A powerful beam of light shot out and a crack finally appeared on the bronze gate. After that, the bronze gate opened to both sides. Boom! At this instant, terrifying immortal might gushed forth from everyone as they walked out, rushing towards the bronze gate. Nam Huang Yunxi, Jun Mengchen, and the others walked to the side of Qin Wentian only to see Qin Wentian speaking, "Let's enter." They lifted their feet and stepped in as well. Within the bronze gate, there was a passageway. On the left and right of the passageway, there were numerous armored figures that resembled immortal weapons. Yet at the same time, they resembled humans. These are immortal puppets. Ingteng and the others glanced to their left and right. Those armored figures were all immortal-ranked puppets. They were extremely perfect, resembling perfect immortal weapons that could completely fuse with the human body. They instantly rushed forward, wanting to seize the immortal puppets for themselves. However, they discovered that these immortal puppets didn't move at all. Behind him, a rumbling sound could be heard as the bronze gate closed on its own. It was exactly the same as the other side. Qin Wentian stared at these human-shaped puppets. They were simply too perfect. Such immortal-ranked puppets required an extremely high level of craftsmanship. Also, there was a palm imprint on each of their chests. At this instant, Qin Wentian understood that in this place, only he could control these puppets. With a flash, Qin Wentian arrived before one of the puppets. However, someone had already appeared there. The person stretched his hand out to touch the puppet, wanting to keep it, but was unable to do so. "Get lost," one of them shouted cold when he saw Qin Wentian coming over. Qin Wentian instantly radiated a tyrannical immortal might as rumbling sounds rang out from his body. His palm transformed into a sword as he slashed out with the speed of lightning. The distance between the two of them was too close. That expert's countenance drastically changed as he retreated. But given such a close distance, how could he evade Qin Wentian's sudden attack? That thunderous sword light transformed into a sword light that could kill. With a poochie sound, that expert clutched his throat with both hands as he stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. He wanted to speak but only muffled sounds could be heard. Qin Wentian punched out, slamming into that expert. The terrifying might of that expert shattered his immortal foundation and sent him flying through the air. Qin Wentian's countenance was cold to the extreme. Did they really think that by forming an alliance, they would be able to command him, Qin Wentian, from a lofty position? How ridiculous! Numerous powerful auras gushed over. The experts from one of the major powers all stared at Qin Wentian as killing intent gushed forth. Ingteng and the others also moved over, their gazes cold. The experts from the Namhuang clan and Dongshengshan gate instantly gathered before Qin Wentian, protecting Qin Wentian. "Give me a way out." Qin Wentian spoke, pushing aside the two figures before him as he stared at Ingteng and the others who were walking over. "You want to rebel?" Ingteng's eyes gleamed with coldness. "You are truly shameless. Do you want to fight?" Qin Wentian spoke. "Ridiculous." Ingteng waved his hands as the experts moved, surrounding Qin Wentian and the others. "Alliance?" Qin Wentian smiled mockingly as he pointed to the bronze gate. Whoever dares to stand on Yingting's side, I guarantee that they won't be able to walk out of that bronze gate. Other than me, no one can open this gate. Since you all want to follow Yingting to deal with me, then let Yingting bring you out. The expressions of everyone stiffened as they glanced at the closed bronze gate. The back of the gate was exactly the same as the front. This gate could only be opened by Qin Wendian alone. Do you all really want to try? If you still don't retreat, I will do what I said. Qin Wendian shouted. Instantly, some people retreated, followed by many others. This caused Yingting's expression to darken, his gaze exceptionally unsightly. Do you really think that you are so mighty? Qin Wendian stared at Yingting and asked, who do you think you are? As he spoke, he ignored Yingting and walked towards the puppet. His palms pressed down on the insignia on the chest of the puppet armor. A moment later, a beam of light flashed as the puppet armor automatically opened up. Qin Wendian walked into it and the puppet armor closed up, enveloping his body bit by bit. It was actually able to adjust the degree of relaxation and fit perfectly with Qin Wendian's body. Qin Wendian seemed to have donned a full set of armor. Qin Wendian released the might of his immortal foundation. In an instant, the puppet armor seemed to be activated, radiating resplendent immortal light. Its might was many times stronger compared to Qin Wendian's cultivation base. Qin Wendian took a step out, moving towards Yingting. Before Yingting, several experts from the Ying clan appeared, staring at Qin Wendian with wariness in their eyes. Rumble. A terrifying might gushed forth from the puppet's palms, transforming into a bright light. The people around Qin Wendian all retreated. After which, Qin Wendian blasted out with a palm strike, manifesting a god's hand that exuded a terrifying might that could wipe out everything. The experts before Yingting attacked at the same time. Two gigantic beasts appeared, resembling demonic pythons. Rumbling sounds rang out as destructive energy gushed forth. Yingting's body was enveloped by the experts of the Ying clan. The experts from the Ying clan all stared coldly at Qin Wendian. Everyone, there's no need to be so nervous. I'm only testing out the might of the puppet armor. It doesn't seem to be too bad. Qin Wendian smiled. The experts from the Ying clan frowned. The puppet armor Qin Wendian wore was extremely powerful and had terrifying offensive capabilities. By borrowing the power of the puppet, Qin Wendian's combat prowess rose to the peak level of immortal foundation. From this, one could see how powerful this puppet was. You are very arrogant. Yingting stared at Qin Wendian. Same here. Qin Wendian replied. He walked towards the other puppets and opened them up. After that, he turned to Namhuang Yunxi and Jun Mengchen as he spoke, enter the puppets, they will be able to control them easily. These puppets were forged to perfection. As long as one used God's hand to open them up, there was basically no need for them to control the puppets. They only needed to circulate their immortal energy and they would be able to control the puppets. Namhuang Yunxi, Jun Mengchen, Nanfeng Xinga and Purgatory were preparing to enter the puppets when Yingting spoke, stop them. The countenances of the people in the surroundings were all unsightly to behold. If Qin Wendian used these puppets to send his subordinates with lower cultivation bases into the puppets and control them, the strength of their side would instantly reach a level where no one could suppress them. Those who don't wish to go out can give it a try. Qin Wendian coldly spoke, causing many people to shrink back. As for Namhuang Yunxi, Nanfeng Xinga, and the others, they all entered the puppets. After they entered, the puppets could instantly move, perfectly attuning themselves to their bodies. They walked to the side of Qin Wendian, giving off an immense pressure. Qin Wendian and Jun Mengchen walked past the crowd. Everywhere they passed by, those who were in the puppets would all open up a path for them. Every time Qin Wendian opened up a puppet, he would allow people from the Namhuang clan or the immortal Qianbian gate to enter. This caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. Was this Qin Wendian planning to occupy all the puppets? Finally, the people from the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian gate were all donned in their puppets. Qin Wendian's gaze landed on Yingting. Through the coldness of the puppets, Yingting could sense the coldness in Qin Wendian's eyes. For those who have nothing to do with this, disperse. Qin Wendian spoke. After that, those who weren't part of the Ying clan all retreated, allowing the people from the Ying clan to enter. Sir, what do you want to do? An expert from the Ying clan asked. You guys deal with the people from the Ying clan. Leave Yingting to me. Qin Wendian spoke. In this case, the experts on his side would have the absolute advantage. Also, they were all wearing puppets, it would be extremely difficult for them to injure them. Even those from the Dongshengshan Gate and Zidi's followers who wanted to kill Qin Wendian all retreated at this moment. The Ying clan, do you guys really dare to act? A cold voice rang out. Do it. Qin Wendian impolitely commanded. The experts of the Ying clan and Qin Wendian brought their puppets and directly rushed into the midst of the Ying clan. They lifted their palms and blasted out ferociously. The people from the Ying clan frenziedly defended, instantly causing the entire space to tremble violently. Those who had nothing to do with this hurriedly retreated far away to avoid being affected. The battle instantly erupted. Qin Wendian and the others were clad in puppets and even used their palms to slash apart divine weapons. They were like tigers that had entered a pack of wolves, instantly forcing the people from the Ying clan into a corner. What powerful puppets! Everyone was shocked. Even divine weapons were useless against them. The attacks of Qin Wendian and the others were like the hands of God, swiftly injuring a large number of people as they killed their way to Yingting's side. Yingting was forced to retreat repeatedly. He was clad in armor and wielded an immortal-ranked weapon in his hands. However, the power he could unleash was limited. You dare! Seeing Qin Wendian walking over, Yingting roared. Boom! A gigantic palm imprint slammed towards Yingting. With a thunderous boom, Yingting was directly slammed into the ground by the terrifying might. It was useless even if he borrowed the power of his immortal-ranked weapon to block it. Bang! Qin Wendian directly kicked Yingting, sending him flying through the air. Yingting screamed miserably as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. I want to kill you. Yingting howled in rage. There were people who wanted to help him, yet they were all blocked. Qin Wendian descended once more, stomping down with his foot, causing a thunderous boom to ring out. Everyone could even feel the tremors from the impact as they silently wiped the sweat off their faces for Yingting. This Qin Wendian was truly daring. Chapter 1076. Yingting was trampled by Qin Wendian. He only felt that his dignity had been completely lost. His eyes spat fire, and just when he was about to erupt forth with his immortal foundation, Qin Wendian directly stomped down, injuring his body, causing him to have no way to condense immortal energy to attack. He could only lie on the ground, allowing Qin Wendian to trample on him. Qin Wendian, I, Yingting, swear that I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. How arrogant was Yingting! He was a heaven chosen of the Ying clan and had a lofty status. When had he ever suffered such humiliation before? Boom! Another heavy stomp landed. Yingting felt that his internal organs were about to shatter, but he wasn't on the verge of death. His immortal sense couldn't be activated either. Qin Wendian's control of his strength was extremely good. Continue to be arrogant. Qin Wendian's countenance was like ice. Yingting wanted to play him in the palm of his hands, becoming a tool to open the treasure trove. He even used the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate to threaten him. In that case, he would teach Yingting a lesson on how to respect others. If you have the guts, kill me. Yingting roared. Qin Wendian's actions caused him more pain than death. It's too troublesome to kill you. The experts of your Ying clan would hunt me down again. After killing the young, the old would come. This is the style of your clan. My cultivation base is so low, why would I clash with the Ying clan? Qin Wendian laughed, his words causing the experts of the Ying clan to heave a sigh of relief. As expected, Qin Wendian wouldn't dare to kill Yingting. However, I have a lot of time. Killing you is too troublesome, but if I slowly torture you, the Ying clan wouldn't dare to hunt me down just because you lost to your peers in the outside world, right? Qin Wendian suddenly changed the topic and his lips curled into an evil smile. After all, when a heaven's favorite gets hurt or suffers some setbacks, it is also the motivation to move forward. As he spoke, Qin Wendian stomped down again. With a rumbling sound, the hearts of the crowd throbbed. Ingting let out a blood-curdling scream. The crowd seemed to be able to feel Ingting's pain at this moment. They were afraid that they couldn't wait to tear Qin Wendian into pieces. But what he said wasn't wrong. Ingting was injured outside and met with some setbacks. It was impossible for the Ying clan to stand up for Ingting with great fanfare. Being humiliated like this, Ingting wouldn't have the face to return to the clan and say it out loud. Should he ask the elders for help? In that case, he might not be able to establish himself in the Ying clan in the future. Ingting, you can also go back and complain to the elders. Tell them how you were humiliated by me. If you do that, your elders might take extra care of you in the future. Qin Wendian seemed to be able to guess Ingting's thoughts as he continued. Ingting's face turned ashen. How could he say that? This madman. The crowd looked at Qin Wendian and felt their hearts trembling. He was definitely a madman. To be humiliated like this, Ingting would most probably be haunted by his inner demons in the future. Jiang Ziyu watched from afar as Qin Wendian tortured Ingting. His eyes flashed with a strange light. Be careful if you encounter this person in the future. Jiang Ziyu said to the people around him. He could sense a sense of wildness coming from Qin Wendian, which was crazy yet calm. He didn't kill Ingting, but made Ingting suffer a torture worse than death. Yet, he didn't put himself in a disadvantageous position. At this moment, he was like a completely different person from Qin Wendian, who didn't even reply to Ingting when he was berated by Qin Wendian. As long as he got the chance, he would make you regret it. As Qin Wendian tortured Ingting, he glanced at the others who were fighting and said indifferently, remember to be merciful. Don't kill them. Just make them lie on the ground, unable to move. All right. Jun Mengchen replied with a smile. He seemed to be somewhat excited. Fully armed, they had the absolute advantage and crushed the people of the Ying clan. It didn't take long before everyone was lying on the ground. At this moment, Ingting could no longer move. He was lying limply on the ground. Qin Wendian reached out and lifted him up, then walked towards the bronze gate. He pressed his palm on the bronze gate, and the gate opened. Qin Wendian tossed Ingting out. The others did the same, tossing out all the people of the Ying clan. They came in arrogantly, but left in such a miserable manner. It seemed that not only did they not gain anything from this trip, they were also humiliated. I heard that you want to kill me. Qin Wendian turned his gaze, staring at the people of the Dongshengshan Gate as well as Zidi's followers. His tone was filled with ridicule, causing the hearts of those people to tremble as they silently cursed Qin Wendian for being a bastard. This fellow didn't care about them at all earlier. He only acted after he dealt with the people of the Ying clan. Dongxing Ting is dead? Qin Wendian suddenly asked, his words causing the countenances of everyone to turn cold as they stared at Qin Wendian. Seems like it's true. What a pity that I didn't personally kill him. Since this is the case, maybe the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi would treat you guys well. I won't act. Please leave. Qin Wendian stepped aside, allowing them to exit. The people of the Dongshengshan Gate and Zidi's followers respectively stepped out, their expressions extremely unsightly to behold. Indeed, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Zidi might use the deaths of Dongxing Ting and Zi Yunwu to vent their anger on them. If an immortal emperor was angered, they might even lose their lives. They were contemplating if they should return to report the completion of the mission. If they didn't do so, they might even be hunted down by the immortal emperor. Staring at those people departing, Qin Wendian turned to Jiang Ziyu and the others as he smiled, Brother Jiang. Jiang Ziyu stared at Qin Wendian as he smiled, Brother Qin, do you really not intend to visit my Jiang clan as a guest? It's fine. In the future when I wish to go, I will go there again. Qin Wendian smiled. Okay then, I will wait for Brother Qin's arrival. Jiang Ziyu smiled. After that, he waved his hands and led the people of the Jiang clan out. Do you guys want me to treat you guys? Qin Wentian stared at the remaining experts as he spoke. Their countenances were ashen. Right now, Qin Wentian and the others were all clad in puppets. If a battle broke out, peak-level Immortal Foundation experts might still be able to resist, but for those with weaker cultivation bases, they would be easily killed. It seemed like they could only retreat. This time, Gu Shan came here for nothing. He didn't obtain God's hand and the so-called treasures of ancient Emperor Yi. These puppets actually required God's hand to activate. Very swiftly, the experts of the various powers all left, leaving behind only the people of the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate. They walked inside, and the bronze door closed automatically. There were many puppets here, and although they were of different shapes and sizes, their power should be similar. They walked along the path in the middle and came to another bronze door. It seemed like there were doors in front and behind them. Qin Wentian suddenly felt that it was ridiculous. Could it be that the puppets here were there to prevent people from tracking him? Were they there to defend against enemies? If this was the case, the person who did this was truly someone with great foresight. After the bronze gate was opened, a beam of light shot in as a cool breeze brushed past. Qin Wentian stood at the entrance and stared at the scene before him in a daze. This! Namhuang Yunxi exclaimed in shock. Not only for her and Qin Wentian, everyone else was stunned when they saw the scene before them. Their eyes, which were covered by the puppets, flickered with shock. Qin Wentian walked forward step by step. This was a flight of stairs, and as he walked down the stairs, they landed on a gigantic stone suspended in the air above a mountain peak. Ahead of them was an extremely precipitous mountain peak, but on top of this mountain peak, numerous palaces could be seen. They were all built in an orderly manner, giving the appearance of perfection to this mountain range. Their position was at the highest point and they had an extremely good field of vision when looking down. In fact, they could even see the silhouettes of humans moving about. His gaze continued to stare into the distance. Because the distance was too far, the buildings and humans there were as tiny as ants. Yet, they were all moving about. That was a city. Qin Wentian floated up and arrived at the peak of the mountain. He stared in all directions and discovered that the location he was at wasn't the end of this space. On the contrary, it was the center of this city. It was like the king's mountain range and he could see every corner of it. Not only were there humans here, but there was also a city here. It was like a world of its own. From the palaces below, silhouettes could be seen soaring up into the sky. These silhouettes were all clad in armor and there were actually over 1,000 of them. They floated in the air and stared at Qin Wentian's group. They were divided into two groups. Below them, there were even more experts descending. These experts all had extraordinary demeanors and their eyes were brimming with vigor. It was as though they possessed great combat strength. Among them, a middle-aged man stepped out. He looked at Qin Wentian and asked in puzzlement, "Why are there so many people here? I wonder who opened this door." Qin Wentian took a step forward and said, "It's me." The middle-aged man glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, he actually bowed to Qin Wentian and shouted, "Welcome, Saint Lord. We respectfully welcome the arrival of the Saint Lord." From all directions, the experts who descended all bowed to Qin Wentian as they called out in a loud voice. "Welcome, Saint Lord." Those armored soldiers even knelt on one knee. At this instant, their voices reverberated through the entire mountain range, like the roars of mountains and tsunamis, shaking everyone's hearts. Qin Wentian was stunned. Namhuang Yunxi and the others were similarly stunned. They had no idea what was going on. "Saint Lord?" Why were these people so respectful to Qin Wentian and even addressed him as Saint Lord? "Can you explain?" Qin Wentian asked. "Saint Lord, please follow me." The middle-aged man stretched his hand out and gestured. Qin Wentian slowly walked out. The others behind him followed after him, all of them were filled with curiosity. The middle-aged man led the way. He brought Qin Wentian downwards, heading towards the buildings. The buildings here weren't as majestic, but they were simple and unadorned, with a unique style to them. This gave Qin Wendian a strange feeling. This feeling was extremely marvelous. It was as though these buildings all contained an aura of battle. This was a formless aura, the aura of battle. Saint Lord, can you remove the puppet armor? These puppets were created by our clansmen. There's no need for Saint Lord to guard against us. That middle-aged man spoke to Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian smiled. He truly didn't sense any evil intentions from the middle-aged man. Hence, he removed the armor and revealed his true appearance. The middle-aged man glanced at Qin Wendian as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. Saint Lord is so young, truly extraordinary. You should be even younger than the previous Saint Lord. The previous Saint Lord, Emperor Yi? Qin Wendian's eyes flashed. Could it be that this place wasn't created by Emperor Yi? Was Emperor Yi the same as him, an outsider? Chapter 1077. In the ancient palace, many experts gathered here. Among them, there were many young men and women. Their gazes were fixed on Qin Wendian, filled with curiosity. They had heard too many legends about the Qin Wendian clan and also knew what the Saint Lord meant. But when they saw the young countenance of Qin Wendian, they still felt that it was interesting. Gather our clansmen and return to our ancestral grounds. The middle-aged man spoke, his voice ringing out across this entire space. The experts from all directions started to move, and at the same time, there were people serving the people from the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate. That middle-aged man then spoke to Qin Wendian, Saint Lord, regarding your identity, we might need Saint Lord to personally head to our ancestral grounds to explain things to the Saint Lord. Qin Wendian fell silent for a moment before he nodded, sure. Entertain the guests well. The middle-aged man commanded. Someone obeyed and the middle-aged man brought Qin Wendian in another direction. Senior, is this place a world? Qin Wendian curiously asked. Saint Lord, my name is Qi Donglu. Saint Lord, you can just call me by my name, there's no need to refer to me as senior. Qi Donglu hurriedly replied. This place can indeed be considered a world, but it naturally cannot be compared to the outside world. The first generation Saint Lord sealed this place and created the 3 world skies in order to help my clan find a place to settle down. 3 world skies? Qin Wendian asked in bewilderment. Yes, 3 world skies. This is the first world, above it are the second and third world skies. Qi Donglu explained, his words causing Qin Wendian's eyes to flash. He couldn't help but to think of the 3 bronze gates outside. Could it be that these 3 bronze gates corresponded to the 3 world skies that Qi Donglu spoke of? Qi Donglu brought Qin Wendian through many caves and came to a desolate place. This desolate place resembled an ancient battlefield and there was an ancient battle platform in the center. The surroundings of the platform were filled with gigantic stone peaks and at this moment, several silhouettes could be seen standing on the peaks. All of them exuded a surging aura. Their blood and qi were incomparably vigorous. Their eyes shone with spirit as they exuded a powerful combat might. Qi Donglu brought Qin Wendian to the peak in the center of the platform. Staring at the crowd, Qi Donglu spoke, why are you still not paying your respects to the Saint Lord? Greetings, Saint Lord. Everyone stared at Qin Wendian as they bowed in respect. However, Qin Wendian also discovered that some of the youth's gazes weren't that sincere. Their gazes were filled with battle intent. Saint Lord, please don't blame us. There are some young fellows in the first world who lack respect for the history of their clan. However, the people of our Battle Saint tribe are all men of character. Even if they lack respect for Saint Lord, they wouldn't dare to do anything disrespectful to you. Qi Donglu spoke. Qin Wendian's eyes flashed. What a tyrannical name. Battle Saint tribe. Qin Wendian mumbled. There were many ancient clans in the immortal realms. For example, the Southern Phoenix clan, Ying clan, Jiang clan, all of them had a history of countless years. Other than this, there were also countless ancient clans in the immortal realms. An example was the Gold clan of the southern region. But for a clan that dared to proclaim itself as a Battle Saint tribe, it was extremely rare. Yes, the Battle Saint tribe. Qi Donglu nodded. He then turned to Qin Wendian and explained, Saint Lord shouldn't know about our tribe yet. Our tribe also doesn't know about the external world. But according to the ancient records and the teachings passed down from generation to generation, we know that our Battle Saint tribe is a truly powerful tribe that has existed since the supreme ancient immortal realms, standing at the peak of the boundless world, peering disdainfully at everything under the heavens. Upon hearing Qi Donglio's words, the eyes of the youths on the mountain peaks all gleamed with sharpness as their blood for battle surged within them. This rumor had been passed down from generation to generation since they were young. The teachings of their ancestors told them not to forget their identity, not to forget how strong they were, and that there would be a day when they would be able to return to the peak. The Battle Saint tribe, a powerful ancient tribe that stood at the peak of the world. Qin Wendian's eyes flashed. He thought back to the memories his father left behind for him. The clan that his father betrayed, was it such a powerful tribe? Naturally, this is already history. Now that I mention it, other than adding some glory to our Battle Saint tribe, there's no other use. Qi Donglu suddenly spoke, sounding a little disappointed. From the ancient records and the teachings of our ancestors, we know that countless years ago, our tribe met with a calamity of destruction. The most important saint bones of our tribe were all taken away by others, causing us to be on the brink of annihilation. Our ancestors managed to evade this calamity, and this was the reason why the Battle Saint tribe of today exists. When Qin Wendian heard Qi Donglio's words, he started to believe it. No matter how powerful a tribe was, in the long river of history, there would always be a period of glory and a period of decline. There are countless powerful tribes in the boundless world, and after millions and millions of years of evolution, who could guarantee that a particular tribe would be able to last for eternity? This immortal realm was once unified by many ancient emperors, but didn't it still crumble and fall apart? Many experts rose up. Time could change too many things. How many major powers and ancient clans had vanished in the course of history? It could be considered fortunate that the Battle Saint tribe was able to survive until now. My tribe wasn't annihilated and managed to survive. It was all thanks to the help of the first generation Saint Lord. In order to avoid the calamity of that year, the first generation Saint Lord allowed us to take refuge here, cutting off all contact with the outside world. Only after generations of Saint Lords came here would they choose a few of our tribesmen to go out and survive in the outside world. At the same time, for the sake of the ultimate goal of our tribe, we want to search for the Battle Saint bone that was stolen from our ancestors. Why don't we go out together? Qin Wendian asked. Saint Lord, you might not know this, but although our tribe reproduced extremely quickly countless years ago, the number of people who could truly awaken the bloodline of the Battle Saint tribe and give birth to the Battle Saint bone is extremely rare. Saint Lord has already seen these people here. These are the people from the Battle Saint bone tribe who were born during the countless years between the first generation Saint Lord and you. Naturally, this is only the first world, there are still some who went to the upper world. Qin Wendian glanced at everyone and frowned, isn't this a little too few? The number of direct descendants of the Battle Saint tribe in the first world isn't as many as in the upper world. Because after breaking through to the Immortal King realm, the tribe members would choose to go to the upper world. Since the talents of our tribe are all extremely high, many of us would break through to the Immortal King realm and go to the upper world. The people here are all the younger ones. In the future, when Saint Lord goes to the second world, you should be able to see even more of our tribe members. Qi Donglu spoke. Qin Wendian had long noticed that the people here were all at the Immortal Foundation realm. So it turned out that they had all gone to the upper world. Seems like it's the same as what I've guessed. The other two bronze gates should be connected to the upper world. This should be to prevent those who don't have enough strength to casually bring out the members of the Battle Saint tribe. Qin Wendian silently mused. Qi Donglu, didn't you say earlier that the Battle Saint bone of your ancestor was stolen away? Why would the members of your tribe awaken a new Battle Saint bone? Qin Wendian didn't understand. According to the ancient records of my Battle Saint tribe, the Battle Saint bone stolen from our ancestor is the most important inheritance of our tribe. It contains the boundless secrets of the Great Tao and has a certain chance of being passed on to the later generations. From then on, there would be a chance for an innate Battle Saint king to appear every once in a while. However, due to that calamity back then, the Battle Saint bone was stolen away and no more inheritances could be passed down. The members of our tribe guessed that not only would there be no more innate Battle Saint kings, the average talent of our tribe would also be much weaker compared to back then. The power of our inheritance would also be diluted. Qi Donglu sighed, his words causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. If what Qi Donglu said was true, and there were so many people who possessed the Battle Saint bone that they could all break through to the immortal king realm, how terrifying was the members of their tribe back then? Maybe they really were a peak-level tribe. Such a glorious era was simply unimaginable. Back then, although the first-generation Saint Lord helped us to continue the bloodline of our tribe, he didn't want our tribe to vanish in the annals of history. This was why he risked his life to do such a benevolent deed. He didn't ask for anything in return. However, in order to thank the first-generation Saint Lord for his kindness, we allowed him to cultivate the Battle Saint art of our tribe. The first-generation Saint Lord was also a supreme character. He was able to derive a supremely powerful innate technique from the Battle Saint art. Saint Lord, you should have relied on this innate technique to enter this place. Qi Donglu continued, also, our ancestor and the Saint Lord have an agreement. In the future, the members of our tribe would assist the person who obtained his inheritance, viewing that person as the Saint Lord. Every generation of Saint Lord would be able to mobilize half of our tribe's strength to head to the outside world. As for those who stayed behind, they would be able to continue the existence of the Battle Saint tribe. The people of our tribe would respect the Saint Lord as our Lord, but we also hope that the Saint Lord would be able to help them grow together. For those who went out with the Saint Lord, they wouldn't be able to return. Other than assisting the Saint Lord, they also shouldered the responsibility of finding the Saint bone that was stolen from them, returning to the peak of glory of our tribe. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He suddenly asked, what if there are multiple Saint Lords in the same era? That's not very possible. The first-generation Saint Lord once said that those who could obtain his inheritance and open the gate to this world would have the potential to dominate the outside world. Such people wouldn't appear more than once in an era, and even if they appeared, it's impossible for them to obtain the inheritance at the same time. The probability of such a thing happening is almost zero. If there were such people, there would be 2 Saint Lords. Qi Donglu laughed. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Potential to dominate the immortal realms? This first-generation Saint Lord was truly confident. So it turned out that the God's hand wasn't created by Emperor Yi. Instead, it was created by someone in the generation before Emperor Yi. This was created by the first-generation Saint Lord. Qin Wentian suddenly thought of a person. He then asked, do you guys know of Emperor Yu? Emperor Yu was rumored to be the servant of Emperor Yi. And for the people of the Battle Saint tribe, Emperor Yi was the Saint Lord of the previous generation. Yu. Qi Donglio's eyes flashed. I've seen the genealogy records in the ancient records. Among those who followed the Saint Lord out, there's a person named Qi Yu. I wonder if they are related or not. In that case, there's a high chance that it's him. Qin Wentian smiled. So it turned out that Emperor Yu wasn't merely protecting Emperor Yi's secret art. In that case, the old man beside Emperor Yu, were they also from the Battle Saint tribe? Chapter 1078. Saint Lord. At this moment, Qi Donglu had a heavy expression on his face as he stared at Qin Wentian. What's the matter? Qin Wentian asked. This time around, we didn't expect Saint Lord to bring so many people here. With regards to the secret of our tribe, I hope that Saint Lord will not mention it to the people of the outside world. Although it's very difficult for outsiders to enter this place, once news of our tribe's secret is leaked out, I'm worried that supreme characters from other worlds might come here. Qi Donglu spoke. Naturally, Saint Lord can come here at any time. This faction of the Battle Saint tribe had just escaped death. Those who went out were in charge of reviving their tribe, searching for hope, while the people here were in charge of passing down their legacy. As long as the Battle Saint tribe wasn't destroyed, there would always be a new generation that could succeed. This was the hope of the Battle Saint tribe. Don't worry, I will definitely keep this a secret from everyone, including those friends of mine. Qin Wentian nodded heavily. This concerned the inheritance of the Battle Saint tribe. If news of this leaked out, it would surely cause a huge commotion in the immortal realms. It's just that there are some extraordinary methods in the outside world. If the members of the Battle Saint tribe encountered danger outside and their memories were searched, wouldn't that be bad? Qin Wentian asked. How could our tribe not have considered this point? The males of our Battle Saint tribe are all natural warriors. If we were really captured alive and met with such danger, we would definitely use a secret art to commit suicide or destroy our memories. Qi Donglu spoke. Qin Wentian nodded lightly. In this case, unless the Saint Lord betrays them, the secret of the Battle Saint tribe would never be exposed. Naturally, the Battle Saint tribe could follow the Saint Lord. There was no reason for the Saint Lord to betray them. Saint Lord, those who awakened their Battle Saint blood and gave birth to their Battle Saint bone are all here. You can choose half of them to follow you. They will make a vow to protect Saint Lord. They only hope that when Saint Lord grows stronger, you can pull them along and see if there are any among them who can break through their shackles and accompany Saint Lord on this journey. Qi Donglu pointed to the crowd as he spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The majority of the people here were young and their auras surged. The battle intent radiating from them was tyrannical. The Battle Saint tribe was born to be warriors. During their glorious era, there were even innate Battle Saint kings. Which one of you is willing to follow me to roam the outside world? Qin Wentian asked. Me. There were no exceptions, all of them were willing to leave. In this dimension, their Battle Saint tribe had no opponents. If they stayed behind, it would be hard for them to obtain a chance to grow. Compared to protecting their descendants, they were more willing to go out and roam the world, to search for the glory of their ancestors, to search for the glory of the past. That was their mission. Even if there were countless dangers after they left, even if they weren't allowed to return, their Battle Saint tribe still needed such courage and conviction. They were all born warriors, so how could they be willing to be ordinary? Qin Wentian stared at them, he could sense the courage radiating from them. Although many of them lacked respect for him, they still didn't hesitate to express their willingness to follow him out. After all, this was their mission. Qin Wentian took a step forward, staring at everyone as he spoke. Qin Wentian, have a cultivation base at the first level of Immortal Foundation. I'm very weak and can't even be compared to many of you. I came here by chance and became your Saint Lord. I swear to the heavens that in the future, Qin Wentian, will never betray the Battle Saint tribe, nor will I easily betray any of you. I will respect all of you. If not, I, Qin Wentian, shall not be tolerated by the heavens and earth, and shall be annihilated by the heavens. Right now, I also need all of you to swear an oath. Because, I don't wish for those who follow me to become a burden to me, doing things that are disrespectful to me or even betraying me. I won't force you guys, but if you aren't willing to swear an oath, I won't bring you guys out. Qin Wentian emotionlessly spoke. Swear on the name of the Battle Saint tribe. Qi Donglu stepped out, standing in the center of the crowd as he spoke in a loud voice. The eyes of everyone flickered as they stared at Qi Donglu. After that, they all spoke in a loud voice, swear on the name of the Battle Saint tribe. The tribesmen of my Battle Saint tribe here are all willing to follow the Saint Lord of this generation, Qin Wentian, to the death. No one dares to disobey the orders of the Saint Lord. If there's anyone who betrays the Saint Lord, the heavens and earth shall not tolerate it. The Battle Saint tribe shall never rise again. Qi Donglu made a heavy oath. The other tribesmen all followed suit, their countenances solemn. Qin Wentian stared at everyone and nodded. Obtaining God's hand was already an extremely great harvest. He also didn't expect that because he cultivated God's hand, he would come here and become the Saint Lord of the Battle Saint tribe. However, since there was such an opportunity, Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't be willing to miss it out. This was something that was beneficial to both parties. Hence, after listening to Qi Dongliu's explanation of the situation of the Battle Saint tribe, Qin Wentian knew that he had a chance to establish a supreme army that belonged to him. This army would grow together with him and conquer the world. This wasn't the power of the heavenly talisman realm, nor was it the power of the Dongshengshan gate. It was a power that belonged to him and would only listen to him. Qin Wentian waved his hand as a treasured cauldron appeared. This cauldron expanded in the air, transforming into an incomparably gigantic one. After that, he landed on the ground and spoke, "Within this cauldron, there is an ancient sacred luminance that can evolve your physiques, allowing your aptitudes to grow stronger. However, the light of the sacred luminance contains an extremely powerful destructive might. If you guys can't endure it, just come out immediately. I believe that as members of the Battle Saint tribe, no one will be killed by the sacred luminance." Sacred luminance. Qi Donglu started. After that, an excited smile appeared on his face as he bowed to Qin Wentian. "Many thanks, Saint Lord. You can go as well." Qin Wentian and Qi Donglu nodded their heads and stepped out. The members of the Battle Saint tribe all appeared above the cauldron as their silhouettes flickered, entering it. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he appeared above the cauldron. The members of the Battle Saint tribe who entered the cauldron instantly entered a state of immersion, enduring the sacred luminance. Resplendent light radiated from their bodies and Qin Wentian could sense a terrifying battle intent from their bloodlines. In fact, he could even sense the terrifying profundity of the Battle Saint bone. This was a race that was born for combat. In this world, there were many innately powerful races that were born extraordinary. For the members of the Battle Saint tribe, there wasn't a single person who couldn't withstand the baptism of the sacred luminance. All of them were enduring it. Upon seeing this scene, Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he returned to the ancient mountain peak. He sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes in cultivation. In the Great Thousand Worlds, there were 33 immortal realms and countless particle worlds. There were also powerful races like his father and the Battle Saint tribe. Even if he became an immortal, the road ahead of him was still very long. The inheritance bone of the Battle Saint tribe was stolen by someone. Everything about his father and his memories was taken away by the experts of his clan and was even destroyed. For the sake of reviving the Battle Saint tribe, he, Qin Wentian, also wanted to find an answer. Within the palaces, the people from the Namhuang clan and the immortal Qianbian gate all received very good treatment. However, Qin Wentian had disappeared. According to the serving girl, this was the ruling power of this world. Not only did Qin Wentian disappear, the core members of the royal clan all went to the ancestral land together. They had something important to tell Qin Wentian. As for why they wanted to ask the Saint Lord about it, the servants merely said that they didn't know. Everyone was speechless and could only continue to wait. Today, Qin Wentian and the people from the Battle Saint tribe finally came out. "Senior brother, where did you guys go?" Jun Mengchen saw Qin Wentian and immediately walked up. "You don't know this, but after we took off the armor, we couldn't move at all. It seems that we can only use God's hand to activate the armor. This is too depressing. Ha, this armor was created by my tribe. If you guys want something easier to control, that's fine too. I can bring you guys over right now." Qi Donglu laughed. "Really?" Jun Mengchen's eyes flashed. "Naturally. All of you are guests from afar and are also friends of the Saint Lord. What's wrong with giving you guys some gifts?" Qi Donglu laughed. "Oh yeah, why did you guys refer to my senior brother as the Saint Lord?" Jun Mengchen curiously asked. The beautiful eyes of Namhuang Yunxi and Nanfeng Shenga flickered, filled with curiosity as well. "It's a long story. Back then, ancient Emperor Yi had done a great favor for our clan. The inheritor of his ultimate art is none other than the Saint Lord of our clan." Qi Donglu smiled. Jun Mengchen and the others nodded, they didn't suspect anything. "Let's go, I will bring you guys to the weapon hall of my tribe." Qi Donglu laughed. Qin Wentian gathered the experts from the Namhuang clan and Immortal Qianbian Gate. Under Qi Dongliu's lead, they came to a mountain range. The temperature here was extremely high and there were many weapon halls. When they saw Qi Donglu and the others, the people here were all filled with respect. Not long after, they arrived at the weapons storage area of the weapon hall. Each weapon storage area had different immortal rank treasures. When they came to a puppet-type weapons storage area, they discovered that there were all sorts of puppets here. There were demonic puppets, human-shaped puppets, combat puppets. The sheer number was simply shocking. Are all the weapons here immortal ranked? Qin Wentian was somewhat shocked. Yes, Saint Lord. Qi Donglu nodded. After that, he transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian, Saint Lord, our battle saint tribe is born to be warriors and we also have extraordinary talent in weaponsmithing. Qin Wentian silently nodded. He could understand this point. The reason why Qin Wentian could comprehend God's hand was because of his proficiency in divine inscriptions. And God's hand was derived from the battle saint art. The members of the battle saint tribe definitely had an innate talent in weaponsmithing. These are all accumulated over countless years. Saint Lord, if you need them, you can bring half of them away. Qi Donglu continued to transmit his voice, his words causing Qin Wentian's heart to pound. In truth, Yingteng and the others didn't guess too far off. Although this place wasn't the treasury of ancient Emperor Yi, it was still a treasure trove and almost all of the treasures here belonged to him. If I can open the other 2 bronze gates and enter the upper world, how terrifying would my harvest be? Qin Wentian mused, his heart pounding with excitement. However, he could also sense that with his current comprehension of God's hand, it was still impossible for him to open the other 2 bronze gates. He would only have a chance in the future. Chapter 1079. Qi Donglu and Qin Wentian were conversing via voice transmission. The others naturally had no idea that these people were from the ancient Battle Saint tribe. Only those who had awakened the Battle Saint bloodline and possessed the Battle Saint bone would know about this. Usually, they would never mention this. It was only because Qin Wentian came here that they revealed this secret to him. Yunshi, let the people from the Namhuang clan choose 2 treasures each. The people from the Immortal Qianbian Gate can also choose 2 treasures each. Donglu has already said that since we came here, this can be considered a gift. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. Qin Wentian smiled as he spoke to everyone. The treasures here were all 6th ranked, corresponding to the Immortal Foundation realm. Most probably, in the upper world, there would be 7th ranked treasures corresponding to the Immortal King realm. Saint Lord is right. It's rare for everyone to come to my world, there's no need to stand on ceremony. Qi Donglu smiled. Namhuang Yunshi turned to Qin Wentian and smiled, Namhuang Yunshi thanks Senior. Everyone is a friend of the Saint Lord, there's no need to stand on ceremony. Qi Donglu waved his hands as everyone started to choose their treasures. After everyone finished choosing their treasures, Qin Wentian smiled, we've been here for several days and our harvests are already not small. It's time for us to leave. Qi Donglu started, feeling bewildered. He transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian, Saint Lord, are you leaving just like this? You haven't chosen anyone from my clan yet. Also, although my clan has been destroyed, there are still some innate techniques that have been passed down. Although they are incomplete, they are still very powerful. More importantly, the Battle Saint art can be used as a reference. Donglu, there are many people in the outside world. I cannot let them suspect you guys. Hence, we need to leave this place. I will bring them along first and come back a few days later. Qin Wentian transmitted his voiceover. It was impossible for him to bring them out now, he didn't want to waste too much time. Zidi, Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, the Jiang clan and the Ying clan were all waiting outside. In order to better protect the secret of the Battle Saint tribe, he had to leave as soon as possible. I understand. Qi Donglu replied telepathically. Since Qin Wentian would return, he naturally wouldn't say anything. Qi Donglu was naturally happy that the Saint Lord was being considerate of them. Yes, It's time to go. Nam Huang Yunxi nodded her head. Although their harvests weren't as great as Qin Wentian's, they didn't come here for nothing. Moreover, there was actually a power here that ancient Emperor Yi had once helped, forming a world of its own. This was truly interesting. Qin Wentian's harvest was the greatest. After cultivating God's hand, it was unknown how many major powers would be jealous of him. Luckily, it was useless even if they were jealous. God's hand could only be cultivated in the ancient mountain. Qin Wentian bid farewell to Qi Donglu as everyone returned to the entrance. Like before, only Qin Wentian could open the exit. Stepping into the palace behind the bronze gate, Qin Wentian took out the puppet armors and commanded, those with lower cultivation bases, please equip these puppet armors. Those fellows should still be outside, it's best to be more careful. Emicham, everyone nodded. Qin Wentian took out the puppet armors and opened the gate for everyone, allowing them to enter. After that, he opened the exit and walked out. As expected, Qin Wentian instantly saw many figures standing in front of him, staring at them. Yingteng and the others recovered very quickly. When they saw Qin Wentian coming out, their killing intent gushed forth uncontrollably. Their eyes stared fixedly at Qin Wentian as their bodies trembled. Their hatred for Qin Wentian had already reached an extreme. Everyone, you are still here. Qin Wentian smiled and walked out of the bronze gate. After they exited, the bronze gate closed. The greater demons guarding outside still had their eyes closed, as though they didn't know what happened. Brother Qin, did you gain anything? Jiang Ziyu smiled as he stared at Qin Wentian, without the slightest bit of anger in his tone. My cultivation of God's hand can be considered to have officially begun. I also obtained these puppet armors, as well as many 6th-rank divine weapons. To me, this is a great harvest. However, I'm sure Brother Jiang wouldn't be interested in these things. Qin Wentian smiled. The two of them continued to feign civility, not shedding all pretense of cordiality. Qin Wentian couldn't tell what Jiang Ziyu was thinking, but as long as Jiang Ziyu didn't take the initiative to antagonize him, he didn't want to make any more enemies. There were also times when descendants of the immortal realms were killed. For example, Dongxing Ting and Zi Daoyang. If one wanted to live a long life in the immortal realms, there was no harm in being more cautious. I, Jiang, am very interested in God's hand. Sadly, I can't cultivate it. Jiang Ziyu sighed. As for 6th-rank divine weapons, I don't lack them. However, the other 2 bronze gates should contain even more valuable treasures. In the future, they would all belong to Brother Qin. I, Qin, don't have the ability to open these 2 bronze gates. Maybe when I break through to the immortal king realm and cultivate God's hand to an even higher level, I might have a chance to unravel the mysteries behind the bronze gates. Naturally, the prerequisite is that I have to live until then. Qin Wentian joked, glancing at everyone here. Jiang Ziyu stared at the eyes in Qin Wentian's puppet armor. In truth, he had the same conjecture as Qin Wentian. He also felt that only those with a higher cultivation base would be able to open the 2 bronze gates. As for whether Qin Wentian only obtained those treasures from the first bronze gate, Jiang Ziyu actually faintly believed in Qin Wentian. He glanced at the others, but none of them had any strange expressions on their faces. In this case, Qin Wentian was equivalent to a living treasure trove. The treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi could only be opened by him. Qin Wentian turned his head and stared at the other 2 bronze gates. Given his current cultivation base, it was true that he wouldn't be able to open them. Let's return. Qin Wentian spoke to the people around him. This trip to the ancient mountain was extremely beneficial to him. Right now, he had obtained an army of Immortal Foundation experts as well as all sorts of treasures. Naturally, what was even more terrifying was that in the future, if the other 2 bronze gates could be opened, then, most probably, the reason why ancient Emperor Yi could dominate the immortal realms back then was because of this. Qin Wentian left as soon as he said he wanted to. The people from the Namhuang clan and immortal Qianbian gate didn't linger at all. The crowd retreated, opening up a path for them, allowing them to walk through as they headed towards the exit of this immortal palace. Inkton clenched his fists tightly. He glanced at the golden human-shaped diagram and the bronze gates with reluctance. Let's go. Now, they could only return. Everyone gradually retreated. Although they were reluctant to accept that they didn't gain anything from this trip to the ancient mountain, since things have come to this, there was no other way. They could only serve as foils for Qin Wentian. The ancient residence of ancient Emperor Yi, the Bronze Gates. I hope the clan can think of a way to send experts to enter. Inkton silently mused. However, he also knew that this would be extremely difficult. The ancient mountain was a place that even Ziti couldn't enter. Up until now, they still felt that everything here was left behind by ancient Emperor Yi. Naturally, if Qin Wentian didn't enter that world and saw the people from the Battle Saint tribe, he would also feel the same way. A few days after everyone left, a figure wearing a bronze mask and a black dog came to Mount Wuji. He walked into the entrance of Mount Wuji and then took out a sealing magical treasure to seal the entrance. He then stepped into the immortal palace and walked directly to the golden human figure. He took a step towards the figure and, just like his original body, his body was being cleansed. Although the path he walked was different from his original body, it didn't hinder his cultivation of God's hand. His original body could unleash God's hand using destructive and suppressive energy. As for him, he could unleash it using sealing energy as well. After several days, after his body was cleansed, he returned and retrieved the sealing diagram. After that, he walked to the front of the bronze gates. The three greater demons opened their eyes as they stared at him with expressions of shock on their faces. After that, the greater demons saw Di Tian opening the bronze gates and stepping inside. The three greater demons exchanged mutual glances. There were actually two people who could open the bronze gates. Di Tian opened two gates and entered the world where the Battle Saint tribe was located. Very swiftly, numerous figures appeared. Qi Donglu stared at the figure with the bronze mask as his heart trembled. How could this be possible? Were there really going to be two Saint Lords? Donglu, it's me. Di Tian removed his mask, revealing his countenance. This countenance was completely identical to Qin Wentian, only his aura was slightly different. Qi Donglu was still shocked. This person knew his name and his countenance was identical to Qin Wentian. They should be the same person, but why was their aura so different? Even their aura was different. Avatar. Di Tian spoke. The secret of the Battle Saint tribe was on him and they swore an oath to protect him. Once the members of the Battle Saint tribe were captured, they would either commit suicide or destroy their memories. Hence, Di Tian dared to reveal this secret to them. It was impossible for the Battle Saint tribe to betray him. I pay my respects to Saint Lord. Qi Donglu no longer had any doubts. His heart trembled. He didn't expect the Saint Lord to be so powerful, having an avatar that cultivated a completely different cultivation path. This was equivalent to having another original body. Let's go. Di Tian stepped out. Qi Donglu followed behind. He didn't expect the Saint Lord to return so quickly. Youth, God's hand, treasured cauldron, sacred luminance, avatar. Seems like the Saint Lord of this generation was even more extraordinary compared to the previous Saint Lord. With regards to this, Qi Donglu was naturally filled with anticipation. In the external world, at the God Hand Mountain Manor, Ziti, Dongxing Heaven Emperor, Nanfeng Guhong, the Ying clan and the immortal emperors of the Jiang clan were still waiting. After such a long time, the key characters who entered the ancient mountain still haven't come out. They had no idea how they were doing now. Did anyone manage to cultivate God's hand? If someone succeeded, who would it be? Also, they had no idea if there was a huge battle in the ancient mountain. How many casualties were there? At this moment, the aura in the ancient mountain fluctuated. After that, a bright light flashed as numerous figures riding on immortal weapons appeared, walking out from the ancient mountain. Ziyu. The eyes of the Jiang clan flashed. Jiang Ziyu led the people of the Jiang clan out. Ingteng. The people of the Ying clan also saw the people of the Jiang clan coming out. One after another, experts from the various powers appeared. They actually came out together and there was no conflict at all. This caused them to feel somewhat bewildered. This shouldn't be the case, right? These people all came to the God Hand Mountain Manor, their gazes still fixed on the ancient mountain. Nam Huang Yunxi appeared on a phoenix boat. The experts from the Nam Huang clan and the immortal Qianbian Gate also appeared. In addition, all of them seemed to be clad in puppet armor. The gazes of the various powers turned over. Those who came out earlier all had unkind expressions on their faces. Also, everyone discovered that their eyes were all staring at the same figure. The young man standing beside Nam Huang Yunxi was none other than Qin Wentian. Chapter 1080. The phoenix boat descended upon the God Hand Mountain Manor. Nanfeng Guhong and the Emperor of Qianbian all turned their gazes over. Zidi and the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor also turned their gazes over. At this moment, no one spoke although everyone wanted to know what happened in the ancient mountain. The various experts stood in different locations. The God Hand Mountain Manor was very vast, hence, everyone was separated. Yingteng. The immortal emperor of the Ying clan saw the killing intent radiating from Yingteng. He then asked, what happened? What did he encounter in the ancient mountain? The gazes of everyone turned to Yingteng only to see Yingteng staring fixedly at Qin Wentian as he spoke. Within the ancient mountain, there's an ancient Emperor Yi's residence. Qin Wentian obtained the treasures there. As the sound of his voice faded, a terrifying aura descended from the sky, boring down on Qin Wentian. That pressure was so strong that it felt as though as long as they made the slightest movement, Qin Wentian would die without a burial ground. Qin Wentian. Zidi's gaze landed on Qin Wentian. His robes fluttered in the wind as violet qi gushed forth. You can't withstand the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi. Hand them over. Yingteng, you intentionally framed Qin Wentian. Shameless. Nam Huang Yunxi's expression turned unsightly. This Yingteng wanted to kill Qin Wentian. The waves of pressure bore down on Qin Wentian. At this moment, Qin Wentian's forehead was covered in sweat as his legs trembled. The Emperor of Qianbian stepped out, standing in front of Qin Wentian. All of you are immortal kings and emperors. With your statuses, don't you think it's beneath you to deal with someone who just stepped into Immortal Foundation? Yingteng is lying. That disciple from the Heavenly Talisman realm spoke. Seniors, it's best if you understand the situation first before saying anything. Then I'll have to listen to your explanation. Also, where are the people from Dongshengshan Gate? Dongsheng Heaven Emperor took a few steps forward. His expression was the most unsightly. Many experts had come out, but he didn't see anyone from Dongshengshan Gate. Zidi's people weren't here. Naturally, the mysterious young man with the bronze mask whom he wanted to kill also didn't appear. Most probably, he knew that Qin Wentian would wait for him outside and chose to hide in the ancient mountain, not daring to step out. After all, both he and Zidi's immortal sense had seen the young man killing the others. Yingteng, what's going on exactly? The immortal emperor of the Ying clan asked. Very simple. Yingteng was humiliated by Qin Wentian in the ancient mountain. This is an act of revenge. Nam Huang Yunxi spoke. Yingteng, do you want me to tell you everything? Yingteng's expression turned cold. Nam Huang Yunxi, it's said that when a girl grows up, it's hard to keep her at home. As the holy successor of the Nam Huang clan, you actually fell in love with someone? Don't forget, you are not allowed to marry out of the clan. You. Nam Huang Yunxi already walked out from the puppet armor. Her beautiful face was filled with coldness. Did I say something wrong? Could it be that the puppet armors around you are not the treasures left behind by ancient Emperor Yi? Could it be that they weren't obtained from ancient Emperor Yi's immortal palace? Yingteng coldly continued, Brother Jiang and everyone else can testify to this point. At this moment, Qin Wentian walked out and smiled. Let me personally explain what happened to all the seniors here. Okay, I want to hear what you have to say. A demon emperor Golden Condor spoke. The gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian. waiting for him to speak. The matter is very simple. Within the ancient mountain, there's the divine essence of God's hand, allowing one to cultivate God's hand. I, Qin, was extremely fortunate and had some accomplishments in God's hand. Together, we managed to find the old residence of ancient Emperor Yi. Over there was a greater demon guarding it, and there's a high possibility that it's a greater demon emperor. Qin Wendian spoke, his words causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. To think that the old residence of ancient Emperor Yi was actually hidden within the ancient mountain. There are 3 bronze gates in the old residence of ancient Emperor Yi. These bronze gates can only be opened by those who have cultivated God's hand. I used God's hand to open the first bronze gate and entered. The people here also entered together with me, and some minor conflicts occurred. I even injured Brother Ington before. Hence, Brother Ington feels some hatred towards me. Qin Wendian smiled, his tone was as light as the clouds and wind, with no anger at all. It was like he was just joking around with Ington. That calm tone of his actually caused Ington's heart to burn with terrifying flames of rage. Within the bronze gates, there's the puppet armor I was wearing. There's also a treasure trove with other immortal weapons and treasures, all of them are at the 6th tier. I believe seniors wouldn't even be interested in them. After staying inside for a few days, I came out. The others were waiting outside, and they also saw that I didn't have the ability to open the other 2 bronze gates. Although the treasures inside might be more valuable, I might only be able to open them after I break through to the Immortal King realm. Qin Wendian smiled. This is the entire story. Many people who entered the ancient mountain have all witnessed it. There's no falsehood at all. Those immortal emperors stared at the group of people who came out, only to see that they didn't say anything. Seems like what Qin Wendian said was true. In that case, all the treasures of ancient Emperor Yi could only be opened by him. At this moment, more people came out from the ancient mountain. These people were none other than the subordinates of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor and the Violet Emperor. They lowered their heads and walked over in fear. When they arrived at the God Hand Mountain Manor, they immediately knelt before the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor and the Violet Emperor. At this moment, a terrifying baleful aura gushed forth from the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor and the Violet Emperor, bearing down on everyone. Speak. Dongsheng Heaven Emperor spat out a single word. At that time, His Highness sent us to pursue Qin Wendian. However, we were intercepted by the Namhuang clan and the Immortal Qianbian Gate. Namhuang Yunxi and Qin Wendian fled while His Highness Ting and Zi Yunwu pursued them. As for what happened after that, we have no idea at all. Those people buried their heads in the ground, trembling in fear. Dongsheng Heaven Emperor lost his son while Zidi lost his nephew. Qin Wendian. Dongsheng Heaven Emperor took a few steps forward as his killing intent bore down on Qin Wendian once more. Emperor Qianbian walked in front of Qin Wendian, blocking Dongsheng Heaven Emperor's pressure. Eastern Sage, your son hunted me down and was intercepted by a mysterious person using a sealing treasure. I was the one who was hunted down, and although I wanted to kill Dongsheng Ting, his death has nothing to do with me. Yet, you want to blame his death on me? Aren't you bullying me a little too much? Qin Wendian coldly spoke. Who knows if you participated or not? Zidi walked over. Senior Zidi, I've never met you before. I've only heard of Zidi's name. Senior's son Zi Daoyang fought against me in the City of Ancient Emperors for the Immortal Ascension rankings, a battle between geniuses. We fought fair and square and defeated each other. You want to blame his death on me? That's why Zi Yunwu pursued me and almost took my life. Now, you want to blame Zi Yunwu's death on me? Is this the magnanimity of Senior Zidi? Zidi, you are a peak-level immortal emperor of the immortal realms. Aren't you lowering your status by doing this? Emperor Qianbian coldly spoke. Rumble. Zidi took a step forward. A terrifying might directly blasted Qin Wendian backwards as he groaned in misery. Since he said that this has nothing to do with him, I will bring him away. If I investigate thoroughly, I will naturally release him. Zidi spoke in arrogance. His palms stretched out, transforming into a terrifying violet palm that grabbed towards Qin Wentian. The Emperor Qianbian's palms trembled as a bolt of lightning blasted forth, slamming into the violet palm. A terrifying aura engulfed the entire space. Although it was just a casual strike, it still caused cracks to appear on the ground. Emperor Qianbian, you dare to obstruct me? Zidi stood with his hands clasped behind his back. The gazes of everyone turned to him. This peak-level immortal emperor, Zidi, was truly tyrannical. He wanted to bring Qin Wentian away. Most probably, it wasn't as simple as revenge. Right now, Qin Wentian had God's hand on him, as well as the method to open the treasury of ancient Emperor Yi. Senior Zidi, even if you capture me, you don't have the strength to enter the ancient mountain. Regardless of God's hand or the treasury, you still wouldn't be able to obtain it. Qin Wentian naturally understood Zidi's intentions. He coldly spoke. He dared to come out because of this logic. Even if he was captured, it would be useless. The others wouldn't be able to enter the ancient mountain. Humph, Zidi coldly snorted. Another wave of pressure blasted onto Qin Wentian, causing him to retreat repeatedly. Even with the protection of the puppet armor, his body was still trembling violently from the impact. Zidi, this is beneath your status. Nanfeng Guheng walked over, standing before Qin Wentian. This is my matter. Does the Namhuang clan want to interfere as well? Zidi stared at Nanfeng Guheng. Qin Wentian is a friend of the Namhuang clan. Nanfeng Guheng calmly replied. The Namhuang clan wants to bring Qin Wentian away themselves, right? The demon emperor Condor coldly spoke. This time around, Qin Wentian was the only one who benefited from this trip to the God Hand Mountain Manor. They didn't gain anything at all. The heart of a vile character. Nanfeng Guheng didn't even glance at the demon emperor as she coldly spoke. No matter what, we can't let Qin Wentian leave so easily. An immortal emperor from the Ying clan also spoke. Hee, all of you are immortal emperors yet you dare to bully me like this? In that case, I would like to ask seniors, what do you all want from me, Qin Wentian? Qin Wentian asked. At the same time, he actually took off the puppet armor. In front of these immortal emperors, it was useless. Qin Wentian didn't even glance sideways. He transmitted his voice to Emperor Yu. May I ask if senior's real name is Qi Yu? Qin Wentian's voice rang out in Emperor Yu's mind. His expression froze, he lowered his head and drank a mouthful of wine before slowly standing up. Everyone, you are all guests. Emperor Yu spoke, causing the gazes of everyone to turn to him. Emperor Yu slowly continued, if you all wish to cultivate God's hand, I imparted the art of God's hand to all of you, allowing you all to enter the ancient mountain and search for the cultivation method. The door was open for all of you, but none of you could cultivate it. Now, God's hand has been successfully cultivated by a junior. As immortal emperors, all of you actually stood out instead. Isn't this a little inappropriate? Emperor Yu, what do you mean? An immortal emperor from the Ying clan glanced over. I've given everyone a chance. Since all of you feel that you can't do it, my God Hand Mountain Manor has invited all of you for such a long time. Now, it's time for all of you to leave. Emperor Yu stared at everyone, issuing an expulsion order. At this moment, everyone turned to Emperor Yu. Qin Wentian obtained the inheritance of God's hand. Would Emperor Yu help him as well?